Let's try and do it, hey?
Let's kick it off before things get worse. All right, folks. How are we doing, everyone? Welcome to episode 2 of the Arisen Podcast, joined by Modangy, hopefully for the rest of the stream. But also we've got our first special guest, Coob, tuning in from New York, I believe. How are we doing, mate?
I'm doing pretty well, man. How about you guys?
Well, I'm all right.
After it took me a little bit to wake up, it took my internet even longer to wake up. So I'm doing okay, but we're here.
You made it.
We made it.
Yeah, early mornings for you, Dangy, all right?
Yeah. It's just 8:15 now, so it's a little bit all right at this point in time, but not normally a morning guy like all of us Orna folk. We're night folk, aren't we? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
A little early.
Internet doesn't kick on and doesn't start up till like 9 a.m., right? That's what it feels like.
It's this thing,
well,
man.
the internet's got to have its coffee.
Yeah.
The internet's got to have its coffee, but you know what? I reckon the internet and just technology in general decides to fail exactly when you need it. That's the only time it'll fail. It'll work all the time. I'll be sitting here gaming for 12 hours and then I'll need to take a proper call, video conference or something. Shuts down.
But at least you got those 6 endless dungeons in.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's good to be on board.
It's great to have you back.
Thanks, man.
I told you the boat just hadn't arrived yet.
That's right. The boat with the internet. Awesome. So, Shabbash, we've got a few topics listed here today, and we think that it's probably a good idea to give our distinguished guest the opportunity to maybe introduce himself a little bit to the community, which at least on the Discord, everyone's probably pretty familiar with Coob. Especially Coob, seeing as you got to do a little interview recently, so that probably bumped the profile a fair bit there, I'd say. But thought we'd give you the floor a little bit at the start, that maybe you could rattle off a little story about how you found Orna, what your experience has been like, any little tidbits that are interesting, if you feel so inclined.
Of course. I'm Coop. I'm the founder of Bladelords and Plsia. I found Orna, probably about a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
I literally just got bored one day and I was like, there's got to be some other game that isn't Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
That I can skate and play at the same time. Yeah, hold up. What just happened here? I heard a Discord thing. Okay, anyway.
No, another one. We didn't hear it, so you're fine. Keep going.
We didn't hear it.
I know, right? Excellent. Okay. I heard, I looked on Google Play and saw, I looked up, just typed in GPS game and found Orna. And I just wanted something else that I could, because I longboard a lot. Like, I skate around the city ever since I started playing Pico. And, I skate all the time because, you can't really ride a car and play one of those games because it stops you.
Yeah.
Even though you sent me a picture of you playing Orna while driving a car.
That's our little secret. No. Orna is a lot more lax about it. They tend to trust you a lot more. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But anyway, what we ended up doing was I ended up getting it and pestering the heck out of all my friends. And I saw that you could create a kingdom or you could join one. And I was like, there's no way I'm joining a kingdom. I just ground down immediately to the level because it was way lower than you didn't have to have your...
No, you had that 100 territories. Yeah, you had 100 territories and that was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I knocked that out immediately. Because where I live way out in the sticks, like way out there. And so I owned everything. It was not a problem.
Awesome.
I would take a left instead of a right at my house. So I drove around the back road all day and probably about 30 miles worth of it and took it all. Because I really, Orna is one of those things. It affords me an opportunity to go like 2 miles an hour down the road. I can just putt down the road as slow as I can and play Orna all I want. Nobody ever says anything because nobody. But so I started the Bladelords, and there's another guy. His name's Stormheart. I started with him. I got him into it almost immediately. Basically, every other message on Messenger I was sending him was, "Are you playing Orna yet?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, man, I'm not going to get into it. You know, it just doesn't seem like my thing." He's still playing it. He was, it was just like, "Oh no, it's not my game. No, it's not my game. I don't think I like it." And I was like, "Dude, just play the game. Just come on, man. Just play the game."
Man.
I was like, "But are you playing Orna? Like, are you sending this to me as you're playing Orna right now?" Because and so I got him into it, and I got him into it in a really devious way. I went to his house, and I took it, and I named it Coob. What was it? Coop's Haven.
Coop's Haven.
I named it Coop's. I renamed it Coop's Haven. And he hated it. He hated it. So and I was by that time so far ahead of him that he could never take it back.
Yeah.
And he can't even like to this day. I think he went on break for a little bit. He moved, so he went on break for a little bit, and I was like, about time for Stormheart to come back.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I think I'm going to take a drive. So I went over to his house, and I just named his house A. We got all those people together. And it was about 4 of us. It was about 4 of us. And,
that's awesome.
I heard we needed 6 people, so we got a couple more people in, and ooh, there's a buzz. But we got a few more people in, and what we ended up doing was just advertising literally everywhere. And I remember there was some controversy in the beginning of what we were doing by somebody went into somebody else's Discord,
right?
And then just started trying to recruit from there. And I was like, it was somebody unrelated to us that was in the Bladelords, and I was like, oh no, like no. He's got to go, and his friend's got to go. So I just gave him the permaban then and there. Like, and I was like, exactly. I'm so sorry. And I had another guy, the big boot.
Yeah.
I get and his buddy, because see, here's the thing. I wasn't mad at his buddy. He was actually a fantastic dude. However, I didn't want to ruin the game for one person by only kicking out him and not his friend. Yeah. Because his friend would have stayed. And I didn't want to do that. So I just went ahead and gave him the exile to do. Not because I thought he was going to do anything or anything like that, but because I really wanted them to stick together. You know, like it was only the right thing to do.
So you're all about the friends playing together.
Oh yeah, without question. That's what Orna's about. But that's more than anything what Bladelords is about. Like, I started it that day, and it was all about my friends. And to this day, you know, we're not super high on the leaderboard. I think the other day we were like 60th. But like, we're not super high on the leaderboard or anything. We have our fair share of wins. And at one point, I believe the highest we were is 12th. And that was cool. We got real hype about it. Yeah. But yeah, man, whenever we started playing, we all started playing together, but we didn't. I remember watching the first episode of you guys' podcast, and you guys were talking about how you guys would get together in the car and just drive around. That would have never worked between me and Stormheart. We would have ended up getting out in the street and duking it out right then and there. It would have been, no, man, no. I'm getting the territory.
It's funny.
No, man, we have a lot of fun together. Stormheart and I do. We've known each other since like 2nd grade, so we go way back. And but yeah, whenever I started, it was funny. You said the same thing. You said you thought that somebody's name was Magistrate of Frozengard.
Oh yeah.
No, dude. Okay, so whenever I started, 2 people owned everything.
Right.
One of them was Arcanic of Stormforce.
Stormforce.
Here we go. I was like, here we go, Arcanic of Stormforce. Here we go again. And he owns everything. And that guy's name is actually Pacers. He was previously in the Order of the Infinite Sky, and now I believe he belongs to Jot.
Wait, what was his name?
And so, Pacers. Yeah, he previously was in Order of the Infinite Sky back whenever they owned the world. They owned everything. Correa says that theirs was Magistrate of Earth, and so they know how it feels. And then the other one was PK, believe it or not, man. PK was actually my driving force throughout getting strong, because I had to take everything that I could from that man. I could not leave my house without seeing Puzzle Knight's name. And
Puzzle Knight, yeah.
It was just
brilliant.
You want to talk about a rivalry, man? Like, and it was so one-sided, because he's just like, oh, good for you, I guess.
That's awesome. So you said that you played at the start with, was it 3 other friends? Is that right? And are they all still currently playing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unreal.
I've gotten, Stormheart burnt out for a while, but just recently, he recently made 200, so I'm glad about that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because like I said, he stopped it because he just could not get those levels like he should be, like he felt he should be. Progression just wasn't there. But finally, he started making it, and I told him, I was like, you have so many Orns, you just don't have the experience. I don't know what's going on. But he made it, and so now he's on his way up to 225, a much better pace. Then I've got my brother Egg King, and Egg King is he's he's on his way to 200 as well. I'm on my way trying to get to 250. I'm trying to push that 250, but it just seems like such an ordeal. I don't know how y'all have managed it.
It's different now. Yeah, it was probably harder when Shabbash did it, but we can talk about how to get there, how to push that 250, but it isn't as unobtainable as once thought. And we're seeing a lot more 250s come through, actually. Recently, there's been a heap, and I think the number's over 70 now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think Akabani got it today, actually.
Yeah, that was awesome. So Akabane and myself were pretty close to each other in level, so I thought that he'd get it soon. And on my friends list or ally list, I've got a heap of people in the 240s, 245, 248. So there'll be a heap coming through. But it is doable, Coob. You can do this. We have faith.
Oh yeah, just gotta start doing some endless, man.
Yeah, basically.
And that's all I got to do. I got to do endless. I was mostly after that, whenever I got from 200 to 225, that whole push was sponsored by my Kia. I just drove and kept driving. And, I did world grinding. That's what I did. I just boss because in Gauntlet it's stunted a little bit, like the experience. I don't know what the percentage is, but you get way more experience from grinding world bosses. So I ended up putting like 5,000 miles on the car. I don't care.
5,000 miles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So the world bosses definitely do give you more XP, and that's one of the ones that I think everyone used to do that for everything, right? You just do world bosses, but you do the boss gauntlets in between, or whichever way you want to say it, you do boss gauntlets with world bosses in between, because the gauntlets you can at least get 20 to whatever amount it is, 23 done in a short succession. So you get them done in 2 minutes or whatever. So it gives you a heap. But the world bosses, and now that there's exploration, which didn't exist when you started, Coop or Shab or myself when we started, exploration's a huge deal now as well, because you get a heap of, it's huge.
So it's actually 8 times as much for bosses, 8 times as much rewards than bosses in dungeons, right? I think bosses are a quarter of the normal rewards, right? In dungeons, and yeah, exploration is huge.
Exploration.
So what level are you now, Coob?
230.
230.
Oh, you got the gates. Good stuff.
I just got them, bro. And I was just discussing with Shabbash during mic check because I had no idea how to use them. In fact, to be totally honest, I had no idea how to use the class that I was using until I walked into General, and I was just like, guys, okay, look, we gotta, you gotta help me, dude. I'm not doing the damage that I should be doing. And they're like, okay, well, you're not gonna leave until we do.
Sat you down.
Yeah, what they taught me about redlining and everything else into that, like, I'm really grateful that because that's, dude, I love the Orna Discord, man. They really are
brilliant,
very, very helpful.
Yeah, there's some really knowledgeable people in there that
knowledgeable and not elitist.
Yeah, they won't shy away from sharing the strategies. That's for sure.
Yeah, people can be competitive. It's always in like very good spirits,
Yeah.
Nobody really is like super hate on each other or anything. It's a lot of fun.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
I love popping in there. I mean, I can quite easily spend way more time in those couple of channels than I initially intended to.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I pop in every morning. Within 5 minutes of me waking up, I'll be drinking my coffee and I'll tell everybody good morning. That's the traditional Plsian greeting. It's,
yeah, can you explain that to me, because that's a staple. I see "good morning" there, and I want to know where that comes from.
So for the longest time on my old Android device, every time I said "good morning," it corrected it to "good morning." So finally, I just gave up. It's like, okay, that's it. And it wasn't in general. It wasn't in general. It was in the Bladelord chat. Like whenever I was telling everybody good morning, because I tell everybody good morning.
Yeah.
So that just became like, it was an inside joke for a while, and then after that, it became like that was just the greeting. Hood morning just became the greeting.
That is brilliant. The way that autocorrect can actually change the way that you speak, that's absolutely hilarious. I have this issue with mine where it always corrects, for whatever reason, it'll be out of context. It'll correct if and of to the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
And I swear that at this point in time, my phone has just gone, well, this guy's obviously just a moron and that's the way he speaks. So I will continue to correct it every single time to the wrong one out of context. So I just can't write a sentence now. It just if and of are corrected the wrong way around. I'd always corrects to of. There's all these different ones, and I'm just like, I don't notice it sometimes until the next day, because I'm sort of smash out a message and then I look back at it and I'm like, I've no idea how people even read what I wrote, because autocorrect decided to just write all these different words for me. Yeah. Sometimes it'll correct words that are words into other words for no reason.
Sorry, says I like taking screenshots of Dangy's misspellings.
Oh yeah. The other one that he gets me on is my fat old man thumbs, where I thumbs up. I try to thumbs up a message, but I do the wrong one. I'll go too high or too low, and I can never get the one in the middle because on my phone I find Discord's too hard. So I'm sitting there reacting to the wrong message for about 10 minutes until I eventually get it. Oh, funny. So that's a pretty cool start, really, if you're playing with your mates, and I like the way that you got them riled up to playing by going in, wasting your orns on changing the names that they live.
While I was climbing up, and I needed those orns. I needed them a lot more.
That's so good. That's so good. And if I'm not mistaken, you actually have family members who play as well?
I do. I have my wife. She's Sky Ray, Queen of Plsia. And
nice.
I have Sky, and I also have my sons. They both play. I've actually got 3 children, but only 2 of them play.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's the princes of Plsia. They play.
That's so good.
That's brilliant.
A little side kingdom. I got a little closed off side kingdom, because they're really young. Like they're like 7 and 9.
Yeah.
So I've got them playing like the side kingdom that I have called the Squires of Plsia.
Squire.
That's nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
So I've got them. Yeah, they play with me, and it was really funny because Light, that's my youngest. He was like, Dad, I got this sweet sword. And it's called the Dominic blade, and I'm like, it means the demonic blade.
Yeah.
The Dominic blade. So I'm just like, it's the Dominic blade, dog. Like, so I just went ahead and I just went in his account and just renamed it the Dominic blade.
Oh, that's so awesome. That is so awesome.
So do you share out the territory with the fam?
No. Nope.
Only for the king.
I'm the king.
No. Oh, brilliant.
Well, no, I tell him, and I grind up for him too. I'll help him grind up, and I'm like, when you get strong enough, you'll be able to take this from me. And he's like, I'll never catch up.
Oh, yeah, that's
good.
That's like the Lion King, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I was thinking about.
Like, when you get strong enough,
day.
you can take these from me.
Yeah.
And I won't take them back if you take them from me. So I've got him working with me. One of them, and like I said, one of them's kind of went to Pigo. He got a little disheartened, so I started grinding his character up for him.
Yeah,
he seems a lot happier with it now.
It's an interesting game because this, like, Orna's not handholdy, right? It doesn't tell you exactly what you're meant to do. So you don't really know, like, at least in Pokemon Go now, it's got all of those quests, so they just know what to do. They get hammered with it from Professor Willow flat out, so they're knowing what to do, which might make it easier for a younger kid. But the uniqueness of Orna, how it's not handholdy, very much like, your Dark Souls or any of those games where it doesn't tell you what to do. Yeah, is it? There you go. Yeah, Dark Souls. Oh, yeah. Big Dark Souls fan. I actually think that Odie is a Dark Souls fan, at least. He's referenced it a few times before. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did say in your interview, didn't he? Oh, now, are we allowed to ask about the interview? That's so interesting to me. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
how did you? Yeah. So how did that come up?
So I'm gonna be honest. I was doing like we all do. I was, I think it was like 11 o'clock, and in the morning I was just bored. I just rolled out of bed, just scrolling through my messages, and I saw that I had a message from Odie, and like it was like an old message that I'd messaged him like way before, and I guess I'd left Odie on red.
Oh wow.
So, what? I'm pretty sure it was just I don't think I saw this, or something like that. Or no. When I first started, I know what it was. When I first started playing Orna, I literally just messaged the guy and I was like, "Thanks for making such a good game." And then he messaged me back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're welcome." Well, blah blah, And so I guess I just left him on red. And so I messaged him, and I was just like, literally sitting there in my underwear, like, and I was just like, "Hey, you want to do an interview?" Like, and so he was, and I was just like, I've done it. I actually interviewed. I don't know how big of retro games you guys are, but like, there's a game called Secret of Evermore, and it's a really old, like Square Enix now, but it was Squaresoft back in the day, and it was like the only project ever made by Square of America before they disbanded it. There was actually a Square. Yeah. Well, there's a ton of stuff about that game that people don't know, and and still don't know. So I just interviewed the devs like one by one. I just messaged them all until that's what I was looking for. And then after that, what we couldn't find, we used a RAM launcher. But anyways, I messaged him, and he was for it. He was like, "Yeah, actually, yeah, sure." And I was like, I won't be offended if you say no. it's just something for us to do. And I actually didn't even intend on publishing it. It was more of like a private hobby of mine. I just interviewed developers just to get to know them a little better and see, who they are as a person a little bit. Because people tend to think that Odie's, because he's really nice, I love him.
Incredibly nice, yeah.
Yeah, super nice. I didn't expect him to outright just answer all the questions that I laid to him, because I was like, this is a little long form, because I said a short interview with a couple of questions. But then as I was typing, I just kept on I was like, oh man, why don't I just make it like an actual interview? I tried to be as thoughtful as I could without pushing any of his boundaries that he seems to. They're not actually set in stone, but you can definitely tell. You're not really probably going to get Odie on camera or something like that. And it doesn't matter. I don't want to know Odie's social security number. I just want to know what made it. What made him make the game. And what was the point that he was like, all right, man, this is just what I. And he said that he discovered he discovered the formula for the game, so to speak, the secret formula for Orna one day when he was messing around with geolocation and playing with his he was just playing around with coding, because evidently I don't have that kind of skill. I'm still trying to learn how to develop games as we speak.
What really stood out to me with that, and great job. First of all, really, really fantastic. And I think it excited everyone to see that, because that came completely out of the blue.
Yeah,
I didn't know that there was going to be an interview dropped one day, and then it was just there. It was awesome, exciting, and that was extra insight, and that sort of stuff just makes us all, a little bit more excited. Because that sort of stuff tells you the dev's still really active on top of all of the updates that just keep getting dropped left, right and center. But that was awesome. The standout to me, though, was the reason that he committed to keeping on making this thing. I think he'd said at the start he was having his friends play it just to test it out, and they just kept playing it. He was playing it with his mates and really enjoying it. Yeah. So playing it with his friends, I'm like, that's what I love about this game, playing it with other people, getting mutually excited about the stuff that you can do and get. And you touched on it with your journey, playing it with your friends, playing it with your family. It's exciting. It's awesome.
Very much a community game. Yeah.
So that theme being nearly the catalyst for the decision to continue making it is... Yeah, that's awesome. That's really exciting to me, at least.
It was. No, I mean, can you imagine making the game and just dicking around with your mates one day and then realizing, oh wait, because you had to put it somewhere. I mean, I imagine he probably made it, just hey, take this APK and check it out real quick, just a little game I'm dicking around with. But then after he decided oh my God, dude, I've got 30 of my friends playing this game. We all love it. I think I might actually have something. I really want to have that, that aha moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really would love to have something like that. That's actually what I'm pushing for, trying to develop an RPG of my own using Unity right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm working with a few guys, and I've got permission to use likenesses from people like Internet Historian and Blimmin, Justin Wang.
Wow.
I'm not, dude. It's amazing. It really is awesome how that fell through. It was just a meme game for a friend of mine. It was just a YouTuber friend that we he's a guy that I'm a pretty big fan of in terms of influences and stuff like that. And just American one day I was just when's the Sumeto RPG coming out? That's whenever it hit. So we all sat together and made it one day during COVID, and now we're going to make an actual one.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Awesome, dude. Thanks for giving us a little bit of a spiel, but it's awesome. There's a consistent theme popping up that people either come from Pogo or another GPS game to the correct GPS game, Orna. That's right. And love the little tidbits about riling up your mates with the renaming of their territories. I think that's something that I might have to do now. So Nick and Chris, if you're around, look out. Good stuff. There you go. There's Nick in the chat right now.
I was looking at it right there.
Yeah. So that's one of my friends. So it's interesting because Coob, I started the exact same way, was playing with friends, but like you heard in the podcast, it was driving people around. Only yesterday, actually, I had some friends who I had told about this game ages ago, like nearly 2 years ago, and one of them played it. But I don't know if you guys remember the old party mechanics where you could share XP across any levels. It didn't matter.
Oh, yeah. There wasn't a limit.
Yeah. So he played early or back then, but he jumped in my party at one point and got power leveled. So he ended up, I think it was like level 180 or whatever, with no gear.
Yeah, it was shaky.
So he just couldn't play the game. So it wasn't that interesting to him. But then he had jumped back into it recently, I think like maybe 2 months ago, something like that. And he just keeps commenting about how much more improved the experience is now versus when he tried it in whatever it was. I think it was September 2019. And how many changes there are. Like if you think back, all of the stuff that's been added in, like area guardians wasn't a thing, or
map rotation.
Map rotation, yeah. Actually, my wife, you said your wife plays Coop. My wife's just starting up playing recently because she wants to understand the podcast. So she's going to try and play the game to try and understand some of the references. But yeah, there's a lot of things that have been added in, like the world raids. The world raids is a huge deal, actually. Just so many different elements that got added in that make the game a little bit better than it was. And I actually took these friends, so my friends, if they happen to see this, Michael and Em, hello, took them for a drive to play Orna. I showed them how to play Orna the right way, which is what I call it, which is basically I took them for a drive to do 30 gauntlets, just smash a whole heap of snacks and drinks in the car.
Yeah.
And go for a drive and take them through it. And yeah, I think that was a heap of fun for them because they're both sitting around T8 now. I think both of them, they did pretty well. They got to tier 8 inside of a month and a half or something like that. And they're absolutely loving the game. And now that just makes me really excited to play it even more when I've got people that I can bring through it and I can show, different tricks that help them survive gauntlets a little bit easier or share the knowledge. Just makes me excited. That keeps us all going.
That's really, sharing, man. That's what this game's all about, is sharing. But just not creating.
That's it. Cool. Do you have any questions there for Coob at all, Shabbash, or chat?
Yeah, or chat. I mean, just on top of that, with your mates reaching tier 8, I mean, just thinking about it, there's still so much left of the game for them to experience, right? Tier 9, and then how long can you spend at tier 10? Well, I mean, there's so much there for you to share with them.
Yeah, so it's interesting because one of them asked me, do you have anything to do now? Because if you've hit the max level, is there really much incentive for you to play?
Keep playing.
And it doesn't take me long to rattle off, about 6 or 7 different gear items that I want to get. And just the amount of effort involved to get those things, I'm like, I'm going to be playing forever. I don't know when I'll get another Nothran crown or when I finally got an Avalon crown the other day and I'm absolutely ecstatic for it. Or the Phoenix gear, you gotta get summoning scrolls to start with, and then you've got to get ornates of them somehow, and kill all the world raids. There's so much stuff that I still am yet to do, and then I haven't even I've got to 250, but there's no way I've played every different playstyle within this game. The class and spec combinations that you can do like I'm constantly hearing about these interesting ones that people are doing, and then I just want to make those builds, you know. So there's no shortage of different stuff or content to play in this game, even once you hit 250.
Well, that's a good question, Celia. Here you go, Coob. What advice would you give to someone trying to get their friends to play? What would you highlight? I think both of you could probably chime in a bit better, seeing as I've tried and failed to get my mates to play.
Well, hold on 1 second. You guys are talking about Ornate Phoenix Crew. I just got my Ornate Phoenix Crews, and I've only ever killed 3 of the Ashen ones.
Oh,
are you serious?
Yeah, I swear. I just wanted to point that out real quick, but before I...
Well, thanks, man, because I killed 3.
Sorry, mate.
I killed 3 Ashen Phoenixes yesterday. I didn't even get a single pinion. And of course, no ornate, so yeah. Carry on, mate.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, dude.
Congrats.
192.
Oh,
Wow.
solid.
Dude, congrats.
So what advice would I give to people trying to get their friends to play? Pester the hell out of them. Like really. I mean, really hammer home that you're absolutely having like a lot of fun. You know, like, because I mean, and you're having fun with your friends, and make sure that you want to include them in something. You know, like, and you know, there's always going to be those people that are like, no, it's not really my thing, and that's cool. But you know, you have a lot of fun just with them. Take them with you. Show them what you're doing. You know, like take them on a gauntlet run. That's what I do, and you know, show them. You know how the one thing that I have always highlighted is the fact that if you own somebody's land, they have to pay you taxes to fight on it.
Yeah.
So you know, that's always a thing. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, dude. And like I said, taking somebody's house is a sure way to fire them up when they start playing. Because they're going to get, especially if you're like, you know, 9 tiers ahead of them whenever they start. So they've got this looming presence over them that deals 25,000 damage a hit to them, and they can do 0 effectively. So they're always going to be pushing towards that bird. Like they're going for the brass ring. They're going for your neck. So it's definitely, you know, it's got its ups and downs. But yeah, no, it does have a bit of a grinding aspect to it. Corey says that you know, it does. You don't try to get people into grinding games, but it's the community aspect that you push. You know, like I just did it to a guy. I just did it to a guy in the hotel. I walked downstairs and he's like, "What are you doing walking around?" I was like, "I'm playing Ornament." And so I showed him, and he started playing, and he's still playing probably right now.
That's awesome.
So,
that's recruitment for you. Get him in the Bladelords. That's brilliant.
So that's so
that
good.
was the idea. Take a picture and say join the Earth and Legion. You know, that's always, I'm like, yeah, no, the real way you play this game is you got to join the Earth and Legion. You know,
yeah.
So they don't.
Oh yeah, there's 2 Earth boys on here. How's that? You guys are the last 2, aren't you?
The last 2 or the first 2?
Oh, there's
Might have been
2.
one of the first ones.
Only 2 that I know, anyway. Yeah. Celia, I've got a different answer to this, and this is serious. Just make sure you highlight how stupid they are for not playing, and that everyone's picking on them. Everyone's just talking behind their back. There's this big private group chat that they're not part of, that everyone else is part of who's playing Orna. They'll just feel so embarrassed that they'll have to start playing. It's a surefire strategy. But yeah, for me, it wasn't actually that hard for me to get a few mates into it, because I think I'm in a demographic where we're just that touch bit older. So, you know, like that late 20s to early 30s, where everyone actually played a whole heap of more grinding style games, where, you know, like a lot of games that were out on your Super Nintendos or whatever. And you can talk even about, say, like Mario, right? Mario wasn't handheld. you had to learn the patterns. You had to spend hours upon hours upon hours learning a level before you got through it flawlessly each time. And that's just sort of the type of gaming we grew up with, is repetition, doing a lot of the same thing until you got through it. And that's what your satisfaction came from. And that's what this game is you keep killing something until you get the thing that you want. And then that's where the satisfaction comes from. Yeah. So I've got heaps of friends who played Final Fantasy, Dark Souls more recently as we've grown up, and this just appeals to that audience so much. I think if you've heard of anyone who plays Dark Souls, played Final Fantasy, played any sort of real RPG, even if they've played WoW, Borderlands, anything that's a Diablo, they're going to love this game. Just show them, and like Coob said, if you take them for a little drive rather than just telling them about it, take them for a drive or a walk or ride, whatever it is, and show them. I'm pretty sure most people will at least give it a crack. And my wife's played it and really enjoys it, and she's not into those sort of games as much. So yeah, it's simple. I think the simplicity will resonate with a heap of people. It's
simple, but it's got that nice, slow and steady progression. That, as you said, satisfaction. You get rewarded for your investment, your time investment. So is your wife going to drive, or are you going to drive around, or are you going to share the?
She doesn't drive. She doesn't. She can't really drive. She's got a little bit of a medical reason for not being able to drive. So I always drive.
Does she play with you? Does she play on your account?
She's actually, No, she plays on her own account. She's actually, that's what she was saying in the chat right now. She said, what should you do to not be so addicted to the game that it takes you away from doing schoolwork? and to that, I just got to say good luck.
Yeah.
There's somebody in the main Discord chat at least once a week saying the same thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. We've actually got a couple of topics to get through. We're gonna be chatty lads, and we're gonna talk for a long time on everything. So should we possibly move it along to the next topic? Do we think, fellas?
I go for it. Have you got a link to this, Coob, or have you seen the patch notes that Odie posted in the Reddit?
Yes, I do have a link to it. I mean, just.
Well, let me give you a Discord ping, mate.
You can fire up.
Thank you. Right here.
So yeah, these are the March, April upcoming changes. This is the most updated version of this that we've got. What do you reckon? Followers for gold, early game. This is huge for new players, right? This is huge.
Massive.
No, it is. Yeah. No. Oh my God.
This is a huge deal, and it says up until tier 8, and I don't know whether that means tier 7 and then tier 8 you start paying Orns, or whether it's tier 8 inclusive.
Yeah.
If it's tier 8 inclusive, that means that your Pale Dragon doesn't cost Orns anymore, which is monstrous. Because what's that, 1.2 or 1.25, something like that?
I reckon you might. I reckon you might say that tier 8 start costing Orns, because Pale Dragon for Orns feels like a really solid investment, and you would want to actually use Orns for that.
Because that's where people start making the decision between, do I buy my next class or do I delay it?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, because they might think about upgrading their keep.
Yeah, well, that's it, because storage. Well, you know what this. The best thing about this for me is that forever and a day, the advice has been, what pets do I get? And everyone says, don't bother with anything that's not got Wisp in it until you get to Pale Dragon. So just get a Wisp and then get a Twilight Wisp, because you don't have the Orns to waste until you get there, and the rest don't really do much for you. Now, all of a sudden, you can play around with heaps of different stuff. And you can play around with offensive pets, which you never really got to do at the lower levels. Gold isn't that big of an issue, so you could go and buy them as much as you want, whatever you wanted to play around with. That's super exciting to me.
You know what? There's actually a couple of pets which cast things like Bloodlust, which give you double attack up. I think tier 4, the imp pet, or maybe tier 5. But get that double attack up, which you're not going to go and buy Druid straight away once you're tier 5 going down the attack line. I mean that's huge. You buy multiple pets. Easier to buy multiple pets with gold. Swap them out. Get used to that pet switching, exit, entering dungeons and gauntlets feature.
Wow, yeah, you could do that. I wonder if it's event pets. Did you say you haven't done that?
I've never once swapped outside of the only thing I've ever swapped in a dungeon was on accident. Once I was like, oh shit, I got a dark weapon on. I don't even know why I had it. I think I got it and I was testing it, and then so I don't use anything that really my Benin ever. Other than but if I'm in PvP or raids, that's a different story. But I never use anything but that stupid Benin.
I bet you if you are going to start pushing 250 and you're going to be doing endless, you will swap.
Well, that's the thing. I got to learn, man. That's the thing. I'm very much still learning Orna. Very much. That
carries on until I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped. I'm still learning things. I learned dumb things very late as well. I wonder whether this will include event pets that are tier 7 and below.
I don't see why it would not.
Because if you could buy Naganine...
Oh, yeah.
You could buy Naganine with gold.
That would be based.
Pretty big deal. Because people miss out on event pets in those tiers just because it's not a good investment for them. Yeah. A lot of people will say, don't waste your ons. You'll be a high level and not need it at some point. So, yeah, that's a massive deal to me. I think that all that does is it encourages people at a lower level to learn more mechanics and get more excited about the game, get to try new things, play with more things, and do the thing that we always carry on is one of the best things about Orna is play the way that you want to play it. Yeah. So up until now, because you could only use Wisp and Twilight Wisp, that's the way that you have to play it, not necessarily the way that you might want to play it. So buying all these other pets is just going to be, juicy. Be fantastic.
Fun detected.
Fun detected.
Saying that, I'm kind of skinned at the moment. But for new players, spending gold, that's huge.
Well, the money thing we'll probably touch on a little bit later. That's a big deal. Big deal. The next one's probably not going to affect a lot of people who are lower tiers or maybe some in, I don't know if there's many tier 9 items that have this, but it's the legacy item normalization.
Yeah.
So there's items that have ward attached to them. And I think this one's specifically about ward, and there's another one that touches on other stats within legacy items. But the ward percentage was maybe a little bit higher on at least one particular legacy item.
I can think of 3.
You can think of 3. What are the other 2?
Well, Fallen Shield, Arisen Shield, Old Nothing Crown.
So were they, because the Fallen and Arisen Shield legacy stats were actually the defense and stuff that were different, or was it the ward as well?
Yeah. I remember hitting tier 9 and the first, I think when I joined EE for the first time, I was just seeing everybody with Fallen Shield, and I'm like, all right, what should I get here? Just asking how can I upgrade my gear? And everyone says just get a normal Fallen Shield from Mammon, Master Forge it, you get a ridiculous amount of ward. And the same thing happened for Arisen Shield and, of course, Old Nothing Crown, which...
Okay, so you're talking about the way that that the old Master Forging of Shields used to work, how they would always go to that 200% once they were Master Forged or Demon Forged.
Heimdall Shield used to do the same thing.
I think all shields, if it just had ward on it, the ward stat always doubled, didn't it? The ward stat always went to the 200%. Because my Mighty Griffin shield is that way as well.
Yeah, equivalent to 189%, I think people are confirming. But yeah, that 189%. I mean, how many people have a 189% Old Northern Crown, right? Especially back then. So
yeah. So for our listeners who aren't yet tier 10 or might not have heard of this item, because there are some people who are below that tier that do know a lot about the gear before they get there. There's this item that you can get from a quest reward called Old Northern Crown. It's an amazing item that you end up using for most cases when you are in tier 10, because it prevents your attack or magic stats going down by 1. So that 25% reduction, and it also gives you great split stats. So I think when you get it to Demon Forge, it's close to 800 of defense and resistance, somewhere around there, or 700 and something. And it also gives you high ward or a decent chunk of ward, which means that with the adornment slots, if you put a whole heap of 2% ward gems in there, you can get it to 33% ward, just Demon Forging, just the common one you get from the quest reward. But a whole heap of people managed to Master Forge and Demon Forge their crowns a little bit back when the old mechanics worked of the ward would go up to that, if we're saying 189%, essentially mimicking a 189% quality item. It meant that the ward went a lot higher. So I think that their ward goes up to, is it 49%? Or
something ridiculous.
Something like that.
This only affected the ward, on these legacy ward items, So the base stats were still the equivalent to common quality, but for whatever coding reason, that it was the ward that got affected.
Yeah. So I think it's a good change, but this is one of those ones where I don't have one of those items, so I think people will feel differently based on whether they've got them or don't have them.
Well, I don't know about you, Coob, if you've got any of these, but I think this is pretty overdue, to be honest. I think it was pretty ridiculous running around with a ridiculous amount of ward without any effort whatsoever. So for me personally, I think I really like this change. Better late than never. I don't know if you picked up one of these legacy items, Coop.
I think I have a Fallen Shield, but I got that when I hit tier 9, like several months ago. But it wasn't like ridiculously OP, and I'm pretty sure that my ward on it is only like 160 something.
Yeah, that'd be normal.
Yeah. So I got lucky. In the regard of I don't have anything to get used to. And that's funny. Once again, it's just something again that I'm learning. I had no idea that was the thing that they were going to be normal after. Just one of the things. I guess I just need to get the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
well, no, yeah.
No, I mean, as Corey was just saying there as well, now there's a lot more options for if you want high ward as well. So I think, you know, for looking at itemization as a whole for the end game where ward matters, I think it's in a good place. And, you know, with this change, I like it.
Yeah.
I got my Fey Yeti horns. That's what I got.
Oh.
Have you got ornate Fey Yeti horns?
What?
193.
Okay. Far out. Are they with the new ward or are they with the old ward? When did you get them?
New ward. I got them fairly... I mean, they should be new ward. I got them fairly recently, like within the past month.
Can we kick him off there? Can we kick him off, Shabbash? I'm finished listening to this guy.
No, I wasn't planning on bringing someone on with this amount of RNG.
Yeah.
Got to share the love, Coop, as I'm sure you would if you could. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Fey Yeti horns and Ashen Greaves. Far out. Mate, you'll have a great Bayo build or a Gilgamesh build in there. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was whenever I got it. I was just like, oh, bro, check this out. I got some cool horns. Word, nice. And although I'm not going to lie, I would... that's funny. Is it maybe some of the luck will rub off? Maybe. Because I haven't gotten shit recently. Well, that's not true, except for those greaves. And they're still in the blacksmith. I imagine when I get back, they'll just turn to dust. Okay, so...
Besides the best leg slot item, you haven't gotten much lately. That's what you...
Is it like I thought it was the shoes that were the best? See, that's why I wasn't hyped when I got it. I thought it was the shoes.
Leg slot from Ashen Phoenix for whatever class will be the best ward available in that slot. So for Warrior, it's a big deal because it's got a huge HP bonus as well, which means you get to use that on both Beowulf, Gilgamesh, even Deity, and you get a huge amount of ward because the ward calculation is based on your HP and your mana as well. So yeah, it's a big deal.
I don't have any weapons though. No weapons.
Just need that Abyssal Axe, man.
Dude, I have a famed Abyssal Axe. That's it.
All right,
and I've been grinding Apollyon like for real, for a long time, and no dice.
Yeah,
that's where the RNG.
All right, that's the RNG. Yeah, that's the game.
There's the RNG balance.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's I think this is a good move, and I think that it seems to be, and it's even mentioned in the notes that's sticky there, that this is to do with PvP in mind, which means that I think that there's still a lot of consideration going into all of the balance stuff before we start talking about PvP seasons or faction wars or anything like that. Let's get all of the little kinks ironed out first. And it's going to be one that I imagine a couple of people will complain about. I've seen a couple of comments on the Discord about, at least let us deposit it in our keep so that we don't lose the ward and we just can't use it anymore. We get to see it. I don't know why you'd want that because you probably want your adornments back anyway. Yeah, it's interesting. It's late, but it's something that you can't argue with too much, isn't it?
Agreed.
I'm just happy it's happening.
Yep. Yeah, nice. And the next one is to do with the stats. So I think you might have a better insight into some examples of this, Shabbash. I don't know if you want to run through this one here.
You know what? The only thing... So this is kind of a similar change. I don't have the example that he's talking about, which is the Avalon Crown. I know Major has talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
So I can't say specifically on that item, but there's basically some items where, not talking about the legacy ward stuff, but items that were kind of changed recently, and by recently I mean within the last kind of 3 or 4 months, maybe something like that. And some items previously were not changed, and there's basically a disconnect there. So you have the same item, and like depending on when you got it, some of the stats are different, or especially when leveled up. I think I've got an item. The one I think off the top of my head is Arisen chest gear from Arisen Mammon. It got ward added to it, and I had an ornate one for Mage, Warrior, and Thief, all 3 of them just sitting in my keep from I don't know when, months and months ago, and I saw they were getting ward added, so I'm like, oh, awesome. Leveled all of them up to Master Forged, and they were supposed to have something like 33% ward, and they all have like 14% ward. So I think this change, talking about ward again, but I think this change should kind of bring everything in balance to its proper numbers. So yeah. I mean,
it's really interesting because we've got 2 examples in our kingdom, being Major and Thieg, who's a nick in the chat, Kempros. They've both got Avalon Crowns that are legacy Avalon crowns, but in the inverse. So mages has the right ward, but the wrong attack and magic stats. Yeah. They're lower. They're like they were a base crown. And Thieves is the other way, where the attack and magic and everything went up, but his ward didn't move. So I have no idea how that's happened, but this seems like it will address both of them. It'll just basically fix them both up. So if there's any items out there that if a stat got added, and I think Major he's done his little TLDR there, that if it got added at a later date, so if you had an ornate item, say you had your Fey Yeti horns, Coop, and you got them before ward was added to Fey Yeti horns, if it gets added later, the added ward just assumes that item's common. It doesn't actually scale up to be what the current roll is on that item.
Yo.
So that's what this fix is for, which seems like it must be complicated because this has been a long time coming.
Yeah. That would be salty if I got an ornate and that burned me up if I got some common stats on my sick ornate items.
Absolutely.
Well, it's happened for a lot of people. Like the Fey Yeti stuff, the horns is a prime example because a heap of people have those because it's been around for so long. Yeah. Avalon Crown as well. And if you got it before the adjusted figures, then they're just common rolls. So yours, Shabbash, will be fixed up.
Yes, my Arisen chest, which I'm probably not going to use, but no, all good. I'm chuffed with it. No, I'm really happy with it. These legacy stuff out with the old, and with the hopefully new ornate if you get lucky. That's good. Retroactive item buffs. That's good. Moving on to the next one, which is something more fun. I think more fun detected from my side. Yeah, crit chance on skills. So at the moment, any sources of additional crit chance, be that from adornments in your weapons or the increased crit skill from like Worm Song, these only affect the attack button. So realistically, there's not a huge number of builds that actually utilize that. But with this change, additional crit chance is going to affect skills as well. So certain skills and certain spells, so specifically the phase spells, which they can crit right now, but they've all got set crit chances, right? Now we're going to be able to increase that and actually build around it.
Yeah. Coob, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
I was actually about to ask, would that affect beast strikes?
Yeah.
Because beast strikes, remember we were talking about that during mic check. We were talking about beast strikes. I was wondering, that's why I was sitting here, like the wheels were turning. I'm sure you could smell it from here. Like it was really going. Like I was like, man, is that like, oh yeah, no, Eladin actually just had a really good point. Like lunge. Like if you could imagine a crit buff on a lunge, that would be sick.
I wonder. That's a great point, because I wonder if that's going to change it. Those certain skills.
I would say because in the text of that, it says a number. It says 50% in the... I'd have to actually look that up, but I'm pretty sure it says 50%.
Yeah, lunge 50%.
You'd have to think not, because the way that's designed mechanically to work, it just makes that... Yeah, it's not functioning the way it's designed at that point in time.
Maybe it will. I honestly, it could go either way. In my opinion, I don't know. Let's wait and see. I mean, beast strikes, by the way, as you're saying, Coop, beast strikes. I've actually started using that recently for the crit on recharge classes. I love it. I'm definitely going to be playing with that.
So, what are you most excited about with this, Shabbash?
Oh, there's too many things. Probably, I don't know, Realm Strikes, huge damage. Swash, maybe. Beowulf.
That was the right answer.
Yeah.
Realm Strikes was the right answer.
I mean, right now, if I get a Realm Strikes crit turn 1, I mean, it's roughly between 80 and 100k damage. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
But on Beowulf, Beowulf with recharge, I don't know. I'm thinking something like, really high HP. It's got a set recharge rate.
You're thinking PvP then, aren't you?
This is PvP, so
Yeah. Because Beowulf, tell you what, and this is a complete distraction from what we're talking about, and I'm going to return to the crit stuff because I'm excited about some stuff. But Beowulf is now officially a monster in PvP. Like, I used to come up against Beowulfs and I'd go, "Aw," and then just one-tap them. And now I have to actually think about it because those things can kill me, man. Like, that's a big deal.
They can also take a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then kill you, yeah.
That's right.
Got to be alive to kill you in the first place, yeah.
Yeah. So Fuximus's build is just insanely good. It's got a monstrous amount of HP, something like 25k. Yeah. Beowulf got good. I think I even saw a question yesterday about what does Beowulf actually do well. I think Beowulf does nearly everything well at this point in time. Maybe excluding Endless. Doesn't go super deep on Endless, but otherwise, Beowulf's a monster. It's in a good spot, I'd say. I really like those changes. But anyway, on the crit stuff, I am so excited for this. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I made a suggestion to this effect. I'd have to find the date on it, but I'd say it'd have to be about 6 months ago, about affecting specific skills that can crit,
right? Like
your Realm Strikes.
Yeah. And
I actually so I've got a long, big suggestion spelling out that stuff. The big risk I see with it right now is that Realm Shift is starting to hit a space that feels like it's being forgotten a little bit with some of the updates. It used to be considered this, monster that could absolutely tear through raids really fast, and
still scares me in PvP.
With Swash and PvP in general, it's probably pretty good because Realm Charm is also pretty decent. But outside of that, it's starting to fall behind a lot of the other classes somewhat, and especially if you're going to be reliant on redlining, right? If you're going to rely on redlining for two of the things like your Endless and Raiding, and you'd think that Realm Shifter would be focused on critical hits in some way. So I'm sure there's a build that exists that has it at full HP the whole time. But obviously you would ideally want to use your class passive. So it seems like these two things don't align with each other. It seems like they're nearly counter to each other. You can choose to either be at full passive or you can choose to be a high crit build that lives at full HP because it's got the skill Realm Strikes. That's where it comes from, right? And you can't intuitively use that while redlining. There's not a way that you can get away with doing it because you will get your health back and suddenly you start getting hit more and suddenly you can't do as much damage. It's an interesting, I wouldn't even call it a synergy. It's an interesting tie-in. Yeah. So I'm really interested by that, and I wonder whether there's scope. We've spoken a fair bit about, or at least on the Discord, about potential additional skills, and I wonder. I know that there's been talk around some sort of skill that stops healing.
Yeah.
I wonder whether that doesn't necessarily work because, well, I don't know, it's been talked about enough and hasn't been addressed a lot, so I don't think that one's necessarily gaining that much traction. I wonder whether there is some skill that exists, so like say it's a 245 Realm Shifter skill or something like that, that allows you to, instead of critting, so you turn off your ability to crit, not a single skill can crit any longer, but your attack goes up by 5%, like all damage goes up by 5%.
That would be cool.
And then every class can use that. and it's just like an additional, you know, we keep getting things. You got your affinities, you got snotchers and gunners, you've got all those sort of things. So maybe that's an additional skill that every class gets benefit from, but is also something that makes you Realm Shifter a bit more uniquely playable to maintain its passive and use the other skills. I don't know if there's a way to tie those in. But yeah, that's been one of my, when I was looking at the crit stuff, I did think about poor Realmy. Otherwise, oh boy, am I excited. I love raiding and playing with Gilgamesh in general as more of an offensive weapon rather than a defensive one. And
yeah,
this is going to make him a little bit more fun.
You're going to use Realm Strikes with Gilga raiding?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think so. I don't know about it for Morrigan specifically, but yeah, I think so. And then there's other classes the whole way up from lower tiers that actually have recharge built into them or have that higher crit rate. Yep, that higher crit rate built into them. And if you have a way to increase your crit on those, it'd be cool. It has a really cool synergy, this update, with the recent addition of Ashen Pinions, which are from the Ashen Phoenix. For those who aren't aware, Ashen Phoenix is a tier 10 world raid boss. And the pinions are really interesting in that they give you a base 2% crit chance, which 4%. The only other adornment for armor that does that in the game is Turul Feathers, I believe. Is that right, Shabbash?
Morrigan's eyes too.
They're weapons, Morrigan's ones.
My bad.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Yeah.
No, Ashen Pinions is 4% crit.
4%, sorry. What's Turul? Is Turul 4 as well, or is 1%. It 2? Oh, 1%. Oh my gosh. Okay. See, I don't know that Turuls actually exist. I've yet to confirm that they're a real monster. So
I've seen one while I was fishing once.
Yeah, fishing. Yeah, okay. Get the rod out.
Yeah, get the rod out, and they will come. So 4% crit rate is a big deal. Yes. And then 4% makes the build that I was going to do even better. But
the downside, So it does have a downside, It's not just flat 4% crit. It does reduce.
That's right.
It does have a pretty hefty reduction in the rest of your stats, all the base stats.
40.
Yeah. So base level 1, you got 2 potential builds that you can go for here using Ashen Pinions, because they do reduce by common. It's -40 to attack and magic.
Yeah.
And defense and res.
I think 24-ish.
Yeah.
I would guess.
So it reduces those. It gives you 1% base ward as well, though. So this is a really interesting pinion that I'm not sure many people have worked out a good build for yet. I'm almost certain Tyres has one somewhere, so he could probably show the world how OP these things are at some point. And now you add the crit change into it. Oh boy, this is exciting.
Yeah.
You might think that it's actually a good idea to reduce your attack by 600 because you're now guaranteeing a critical hit
every single time.
More than half the time, That's a big deal. So very excited. Very, very excited for this one.
It just opens up a huge range of build options that we haven't really had the opportunity to examine or to go down yet. So, or at least not to the extent that we're gonna see. So yeah, hype for that.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Somebody just, I think Brainy put in there about Spike Shield build with pinions. Oh boy,
that would be gross.
Oh boy,
Nerf Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would be so excited though. How good would raiding be? Because Spike Shield, as much as it gets this, I think the Deity and Heretic and Beowulf Spike Shield stuff was ridiculous. But raiding with Spike Shield isn't fun. And even using Spike Shield in PvP, it can work very well, but it takes a while to ramp up to it.
Yeah.
On defense, it might be better than it is on offense, but I don't think it's like that insane. With crit, though, for raiding, that'd be awesome because you don't need it for PvP. You don't need critical chance for PvP. If you're going to manage to get off a Spike Shield 3, you've probably got enough ward to kill everyone anyway. But yeah, I like that, Brainy. Good thinking.
Nerf Gilga.
Nerf Gilga.
Nerf Gilga.
It's funny what you were saying.
Gilga. Don't nerf it yet.
I mean, just funny saying that, talking about the crit stuff with Realm Shifter. It's probably the class, the tier 10 class, which has been adjusted the least, right, since release. Maybe that.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Baos have gotten like super tinkered with because,
or like version 5 or 6 or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bayo, you can nearly say, is tinkered with every time a pet's added as well. So there's been a lot for Bayo.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Realm Shifter's in a really interesting place. We saw it with Gilga for ages as well, where everyone carried on that Gilga was this OP best class for everything, and then no one really played it a lot. You know, like everyone carries on that it's so good, but not a lot of people played it. Same thing sort of happening to Realm Shifter, where a lot of people who aren't playing Realm Shifter are carrying on that it's too good because they saw some old videos of people raiding Morrigan, and it is still good for raiding Morrigan, but guess what? A lot of classes are.
Yeah.
Its overall utility isn't actually that amazing if you're going to use it for everything. Realm Shifter, one of the biggest bonuses is it's a torch. It can see more things than other classes, and that's why people tend to use it a lot. But it is interesting. It's in an interesting place right now.
And of course, Realm Shifter there, along with Heretic, they've got the extra damage, the extra crit damage as well. So, yeah. No, really excited to see these changes. So he specifically said as well for the spells, for like the magic spells, it's only going to be the Fey spells which can crit. But for every other attacking skill, I think there's already skills which can crit. They all have probably a base 5% crit chance. You do crit with them every now and then. But yeah, really, really excited to see this.
Massive deal.
Yeah.
Massive deal. Huge. Very excited.
All right. Well, what about the next massive deal? The massively expensive deal. Adornment extraction.
This is the big one, boys.
This is the reason that I've spent about 20 billion gold in roughly 10 minutes the other day. It's current. I saw. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, it's currently in beta, so some beta people actually I've got this at the moment, but this should be in the next update hopefully. Adornment removal for gold cost, but you get the adornment back.
Yeah, no, that's worth it in and of itself. I've got an ornate jewel at the end that's real good, and I'd like it off the piece of crap that I put it on.
Yeah. I don't know how many people are in the same position, but there must be a lot.
Yeah. Shabbash, you should lead this one if you've taken a heap of stuff out. That's I'm interested to hear.
I mean, I'm back on the grind. I'm actually back on getting my Orn gear up together. Court Jester's outfit, tier 10, additional gold. A little tip for getting extra gold is on the Auto-dismantle, which is another change coming in actually. But Auto-dismantle, if you untick the common quality, and then you actually build up a massive stack of just common items. So you get hundreds of these common items, and they only take up one slot in your inventory, and then you can just sell that easily. Actually, in the old days, with when the inventory management was worse, and you couldn't send a lot of things to junk, like now you can sell all from your junk, right? But before you couldn't do that, you had to sell things individually in the shop. So,
God.
So I used to world farm a lot. So I'd rack up just hundreds of like Acolyte gear and like Lioness gear at tier 10, all these mobs, and then sell off like 500 of all their armors. Viper armor, like from Griever, I mean, it drops, I don't know, like 9 or 10 items. So if you sell each one for like, I don't know, 100 grand or something like that each, that's like $1 million from that. So back in the gold grind. But I think it's the same cost. It depends on the gear, right? the cost for extraction depends on the gear.
Yes.
So things like Old Northern Crowns, like your rare gear, Mammon Sword, Morrigan gear, Fey gear, these are going to be pretty expensive to get out. And I've got the thing that I spent 20 billion gold on was Azure Opinions, actually, because I tried to make
opinions.
Yeah. Maybe not the right color that you were thinking, but yeah, they are opinions. Azure Opinions. Because I made this low mana Heretic build with Fey Banshee gear. Literally, the only Fey armor I got from Oregon for like the first 10 months of raiding her was the full Fey Banshee set.
Really?
And I didn't get any other pieces of Fey armor at all, but I just got the full set. So tried to make a low mana build. And actually, the plan was to make a low mana on defense, right? So I would have like 200 mana, and because the Azure Opinions also drop the mana while increasing your magic. And the idea was AI would use Snotra and then immediately use all of its mana, and then it would immediately have like 100% Iconoclast.
Yeah.
But that was before I realized how the AI Iconoclast passive works on defense. So that kind of made that whole build redundant, because the way it works is that Heretic just gets 5% boost for 20 turns. Like, doesn't matter your starting mana. You can start off with 0 mana. You can start off with 4,000 mana. That's how Iconoclast works. But that was before I'd spent.
You've just taught me a thing.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, there you go. I read it once. After I'd made the build, I read it and I didn't want to believe it. I saw it somewhere. I'm like, nah, that can't be how it works, because I've just wasted like 21 Azure Opinions in my big bench.
Oh,
but then
far out. Yeah.
But then I tested it myself in the mirror, and that's how it works. So yeah, keen to get those Azure Opinions back. I've got plenty of other stuff to get out. I don't know. I mean, I remember, like you, Coob, like legendary ornate jewels at the end. Actually, I remember using a legendary red pinion, probably January last year when Phoenix first came out. I think that's maybe when Adornment first came into it as well. But I basically stuck it in my first decent tier 10 chest, which has not been used for like 12 months.
Yeah.
But it's got all these really nice 2% ward jewels stuck in it, so a lot of things to reclaim.
So, Coob, you're not currently in beta. That's right. Yeah,
I just got a new phone. That was the only reason I wasn't in beta. I was, because I was really hyped the other day whenever I saw those little numbers ticked up. First off, I was confused, because I was like, wow, so like I guess I'm just playing with the invisible man in all these fights, like right next to me, seeing these little numbers pop up, like whenever I was doing, because I like my main like go to in any attack is like swordplay, like or swordplay 2-3 or whatever, just to kill trash mobs.
Yeah,
and so it the multi hit attacks showing its full amount of damage is tiny, man. But yeah, no, I'm trying to get. I haven't probably do it right after I get out of the podcast. Actually, go back.
Try and get on the list again. So the Adornment stuff you probably haven't played around with then, or not probably, you haven't played around with yet then, but this Adornment removal is a huge deal, and I am actually it's kind of good to have something that your gold will be used for now.
Yeah.
I don't know, Shabbash, if you feel the same, but for me, I think it was like 56 billion gold or whatever it was, right? And I could go and buy the 6 spells, but I'm not.
That's the only thing that gold's for now. That's what I was just telling my wife. I was like, when you get up to tier 10, the only thing that you're going to use gold for really after you get your, after you spend gold is the Tremor 6 and the other ones, like I would say just for, we're Earthen Legion, so, Tremor 6.
Master Forging and Demon Forging is a good sync, I guess, as well. Like if you get some Mammon Swords, just go and Master Forge them all and that'll cost you a pretty penny. But the adornment removal is really cool. We just got a question there about whether it's expensive. And,
Very expensive.
The adornment removal it can be. It depends. And I think Shabbash said this earlier. It really depends on the item and the role of that item, I think, as well comes into it, the quality of that item. But each item's adornment removal cost is different. It's more expensive than inserting the jewels, for sure. And currently the way that it's built is there isn't an alternate option to just destroy the gem like has always existed. Good point. So you can only choose to remove the gem from gold right now, and it comes back to your inventory. So I don't know whether that will get looked at a bit of a later date, whether there's a way to add a destruction for no cost in there as well to help manage inventory, because I know each quality gem has its own inventory slot, which adds to server load. So perhaps there's going to be a way to do that. But yeah, it costs a lot. And I'm in a similar boat to you guys. I had gems that I wanted to take out of things that I'd wasted. Old abyssal axes, the 3 that I've master forged that are legendary instead of the ornate one, because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
I've got 2 actually.
Another ornate I've never gotten is freaking.
Have I lost
Coop?
Coop?
Am I gone?
Coop said a word there.
You're back.
You're back, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry.
I think you were talking about how Apollyon never drops the axe for you.
Oh no, yeah. No, I was saying I never have ever gotten an ornate phantom blinders ever, never. The easiest item to get in the game.
Really?
Never.
Do you play the game?
Right? I've got like 50 legendaries.
Wow,
that's funny. Well, it used to be a big deal because before the addition of a heap of, blinders was actually amongst it, but now with Balor Crown and Avalon Crown's got a different utility for Balor Crown for the split stats. It used to just be, was it only Arisen Witch's Hat that had the high split stats?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And then later, the addition of Immortal Hat and the blinders.
Well, Arisen Witch's Hat.
Later,
certainly, when I went through Tier 9, that was the top item, like literally one of the best items in the game.
Yeah, I had the Arisen Witch's Hat and the the Yeti overcoat.
Yeah,
which
tier 7,
for their tiers were like tier 7, but really incredible items.
Those were fantastic.
Yeah. Although actually my Yeti overcoat was only a legendary, but I think it was like 160% and it outclassed everything right up until I think about a really good roll on a cockatrice male, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was that, it was a big deal. But yeah, this adornment removal stuff.
Love
good
it.
job. And it's a great way to ease the pain of the changes to some legacy items and the changes to the Serta cuirass that happened recently. It's a really, really good way to manage that. So Arisen Serta cuirass had a really high ward value. I'm not sure if you did Serta when he was around in July.
No, I was on break. So hopefully this July when he comes back, I'm gonna knock it out.
So it's still the best ward item, but it dropped the base ward from, I think it was 12% to 8%, Shabbash, on the common item. I think that's what it was. And that meant that an ornate roll would drop quite a lot. So for example, Coob, my Arisen Serta cuirass was a 191%, and I had it Godforged, and with gems in it, with 2% gems in it, it was on the chest piece 89% ward. So 89% is monstrous. That's huge. And post changes, it now sits at 57%. So it's a fairly substantial change.
That's something I need, I tell you that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
there's other items that are good, and your world raid boss luck is good enough that you could pull
I was gonna say maybe I could kill him once and get it.
If you kill a Fey Yeti and get an ornate Yeti coat, that's probably as good now with the mana and HP on it.
And health, yeah. I mean, one thing about this Adornment change for lower level players, new players going through, just whack Adornments in. Fire them.
True.
Just use them.
No reason not to.
Yeah.
Good point. So those changes are all brilliant, and probably because that ties into the beta stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the Adornment stuff is already in beta, and Coob, you just touched on the change to the way that damage numbers are presented.
Yeah.
So so they were always historically that if it was a multi-hitting skill, you'd get 2 or 3 numbers or 4 numbers, depending how many hits there were.
Apparently.
Now what's that?
Apparently, even before that, multi-hit skills used to just show 1 number. I
right.
read this from Stack. I don't know. This must be a long, way back when.
That must be old.
Yeah, okay. I don't personally remember that, but I don't doubt it. We can bring up Stack Tube and have a look at some of his old videos.
Yeah.
Now it shows both. So you've got the multiple numbers,
small
plus
number.
1 large number. A
small number.
Yeah. So big deal.
Yeah, I like it. I think
I really
there was one comment I read. Yeah, if you're raiding with your kingdom mates, you might get lost in the crowd, but I mean you should be raiding faster and not care so much. But yeah,
it shouldn't even matter then.
Yeah, I had seen that because the thing that's a bit confusing is it shows the large numbers for your kingdom mates too.
Yeah,
so if they do a multi-hit, it shows that as well, doesn't it?
You mean it shows? Does it show the cumulative number for your kingdom mates as well? Is that what you're saying?
Think so, or if I made that up, I thought it did.
I couldn't tell you because I've not been raiding recently, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Either way, I think it's really cool because it's actually given me, when you have multi-hits that are so variable in their numbers, so you've got, for melee, you've got at the top end, you've got your Sword Play 4s, Warriors Purveying, and Realm Strikes are the 3 big multi-hitters. And the variance between what the low end, like the floor of what that can hit, versus the top end, being the roof of what that can hit, or the ceiling, is really hard to actually gauge. You might sometimes say, I did 200k because you saw a 60k in there and a 40k in there, and you don't really know what the other numbers were. Now you know.
Yeah.
You can tell. You can tell how efficient you're being with whatever skill you're using. And I just think it's brilliant. I love it. That's why I've been enjoying Realm Strikes, because every now and then you see like 600 or 700k as a number, and that's really awesome, because I'm sick of Dan Plan getting to show off his really cool numbers and I don't get to show off cool numbers.
And the bigger those numbers get, the bigger the range. I mean, relatively it's the same, but the actual number difference is going to increase. No, I like it. Yeah. Bad Dan.
Bad Dan.
He is a bad man.
He is a bad man. So I think that's the only stuff. Is it just the Adornment stuff and
there is
the numbers?
There is the auto-dismantling by tier.
Oh, there's one other huge thing as well, actually, that I forgot to touch on. But yeah, the auto-dismantle by tier, I really like that.
Yeah.
I wish it also did leave it a checkbox there for elements. So you could say turn it, don't dismantle it if it has an element on the piece of armor. Because that's actually a big deal for like low level guys and Even a lot of us at higher levels, like, would love elements on some packing.
What's that, Coop?
I said it's like 25% or something for your faction element, isn't it?
Yeah, but for faction element, it's 25% reduction. But for elemental piece on gear, it's 50%.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so talking mainly about armor, like weapons, it's less of a factor because you can just cast whatever affinity you need. But for armor, it's a really big deal to have different elements covered. For certain builds, you'd really like to have that if you could. So yeah, I would like it to be in there, but I do love the auto-dismantle by tier. I think anything that can help us manage our inventories, big thumbs up.
I mean, how much Swash have you played? You haven't played Swash a lot, have you?
Me or Coop?
Well, both of you.
Go Coob.
No. You, Dangy? I guess not.
I have. I've played a decent chunk of Swash.
Because
and
for the auto-dismantling and inventory management is like a whole mini game in itself for Swash, right? Because you're literally dismantling nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think? I mean, dismantling by element. I don't know. I don't know if is that making the game a bit too easy?
I don't. Well. So you're saying it's going to be too easy to come by the resistances that you need.
Well, I mean, look, getting resistances. Firstly, you can't dismantle ornate gear, right? So either you want ornate gear or what were you thinking of? Legendary gear with elements? Yep. You would take maybe you would take legendary gear with elements maybe.
I leave legendary unchecked for that reason because I'd like legendary with elements, and it just means I load up on legendaries. But if I could instead check that and say dismantle them all, but if it had an element on it, keep it. The other one is I actually don't mind really low tier gear that's got an element on it. So if I say dismantle everything that's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, except if it's got an element on it,
yeah,
it'd be great. But you think it's cheating?
Takes the fun out of scrolling through your inventory with thousands of items looking for a fiery, simple shooter. Yeah. No, I don't know.
No, I see what you mean. It would make the server loads better, I guess, but also I get what you're coming by. It should be earned. That perfect build should be earned rather than just given to you. I understand what you're saying there.
I genuinely wonder whether he could do that or not.
Yeah, not sure. The one big one that we miss though, boys, is the sets.
Oh yeah, equipment loadouts. Yeah.
Take us away.
Well, when this first dropped, there was a lot of fun involved because you could save an equipment set on one class, and then you could use that saved equipment set on a different class. This was promptly fixed, but you were seeing a few Gilgameshes running around with very high magic damage items on them, and vice versa. Realm shifters with I don't know, incarnate gear for Swash and whatnot. But that was fixed pretty quickly on. So the way it works is you've got 3 saved equipment slots, and you can I don't know if it's like saved per different class. I think it's saved per different class now.
Yeah, it's per class, but it's not per spec, and I'm getting a little bit too picky there, maybe. Right. I think he had spoken about potentially releasing additional slots,
right,
that you buy in some way, and I don't know how you buy them, whether that's
orange or gold or cash,
whether it's money,
coffee. Yeah,
but yeah, it's per class, definitely per class. It's so cool, and it saves your skills as well.
Yeah, that's right. I got scammed because I had my gauntlet skill loadout, which I wanted, but then I'd swapped my gear loadout, and I'm like, where have all my skills gone? And then I reset all my
you
skills.
did it afterwards. Yeah.
Reset all my skills, and then I changed the equipment loadout again, and then I got my old skills back, and I'm like, what just happened? But yeah, understanding how it works afterwards, that's another really good change, because you got different skill loadouts for different things. Gauntlets, raiding, PvP, like, oh.
Yeah. So I got to show a friend, I talked about earlier in the podcast about driving some friends around, and they're not in the beta, and I got to show them this skill and gear loadout thing, and he was so excited about it, and he wants it straight away, because what he's doing right now is he's driving around trying to do gauntlets, and what he does is he puts worldview distance stuff on, right? Which is what most of us do. So he's got lanterns on, and he's got like fire pikes, things that he doesn't usually use, and they're not leveled up. Just helps him see more. But then when he sees a boss that he really wants to kill, he has to sit and change every item until he's good to go. So if you could instead, and what it is, it displays as a little star in the bottom right of your loadout screen. You press that, and it pops up with three, I guess, little boxes.
3 slots.
That you can, slots, and you can just choose one of them. So when you're setting up your gear, you get to save it and name it, and it'll show little images of your weapon and offhand to give you a little bit of an indication of what items are in there.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
then, you can, I like that. And then, you can just choose it, so you can change your gear. And for me, the biggest utility for it so far has been raids, because I jumped from doing all of them. So I'll do Morrigan, Apollyon, and I was doing Arthas, and then the event boss. You can get away with similar gear for a lot of them, but the event bosses often need a different accessory or something like that.
World bosses, that's going to be huge as well. Like the horsemen that can petrify you and stuff like that. Like the one time you need a stone pendant. Yeah.
Or Avalon Crown.
Haven't got one yet, but yeah.
Oh, mate, I was doing like 30 of them a day for a couple of weeks to just try and get it, and I finally got one, and I think it's 179%, but I'm going to take it. That'll do. That'll do. But yeah, the loadout stuff.
Yeah.
Big deal. It wasn't mentioned in this upcoming changes, and the Adornment extraction was, but I'd imagine that it will make its way into the main game the same time that Adornment extraction does.
I mean, are you keen for this, Coop? I think most of the community who check on the Discord, this has been coming for quite a while, hasn't it? It's been on the roadmap for a while. So yeah, good to see it. Yeah,
the loadouts being a thing has been pretty important. Like now, I wonder, does it affect pets too?
No.
Well,
not yet.
Can't always have it.
That's the big one you see, isn't it? A lot of people saying, I got to change my pet for the raids, for the gauntlets.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know I lost, there's a guy in Louisville, his name's Narcoleptic Noid. He took he's honestly like almost 20 levels. No, he's about 15 levels lower than me.
Yeah.
And he just, dude, he wrecked me for territory for a hot minute. Like last night, just because I was raiding, I had my Fjalar on. I didn't have Ashy Berry on.
Yeah,
Somebody asked earlier what my favorite pet was. It's 1000% Ashy Phoenix. Ashy Boy is best boy.
Great pet.
He was my reason for getting to tier 10. I had to get to T10 before the end of January.
Oh,
fantastic pet. Yeah, good job.
Now, as far as pets go, do you get Mighty Mimic on April 1st? Mighty's Mimic?
Ooh, let's talk about that in a little. That could be an interesting prediction there too. But yeah, it's a big deal. I like the change, and yeah, good to see it make its way in. The pet stuff though, like changing the pets with the loadouts, I'm glad it didn't happen personally. I know that's a controversial topic amongst a lot of people. They'd like to just leave their pet on, but I think the way that PvP works in particular for wars, where you need to be conscious of what pets you're using for your war defense. I think it adds a good separator for those who take it seriously versus those who don't. And if you have the ability to just sit there on your gear and pet all the time, you'll just see pale dragons everywhere or whatever.
The only thing that I dislike is that somebody can effectively completely stall your rating if they so chose. Because how important is that point to you? Really, that's what it is. That's the only thing that. Excuse me. That's the only thing that I really don't care for. But it's also like you said, that really is the discriminator between really competitive people and casuals like.
Yeah, it does definitely. You're talking about when you are trying to attack somebody and they've got. They haven't done their war yet. Sorry, they haven't done their side. So you're trying to sit there on your defensive setup with your pale dragon or whatever it is, which means that your rating is slower during that time. I get you. I am personally at least okay with that, and I'm one that will also vent while it's happening. Like, God, it's been 23 hours and they haven't fought yet, because I like to sit there and try to win my defenses where I can. But I think that there's only very few things in this game that separate serious players from not serious players in a non-harmful way, and this isn't a harmful way. So I think that needs to stay. I think you need to keep stuff in there that gives people the opportunity to try hard, and that's
right.
One of them.
I do agree with the way. That's a poignant statement. I like that.
Yeah, and that's my personal view anyway. So we'll see what ends up happening, because then we end up getting to a space where everything's a little bit just a touch too easy, and it changes the game from rewarding to just pointless grind.
Great point.
Yeah. Anyway, that's sort of off track a little bit, but yeah, good stuff.
Hold on one moment. Somebody's knocking at my door.
All right,
you guys can continue.
Probably your guy wanted to join your kingdom now. He's got level 25.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Well,
okay.
Shall we move on to the next?
I think so.
Segment then, because I think that's the patch wrapped up as far as we know it. At least that's what's left of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good patch.
Build of the week, Dangy.
Build of the week.
Talk to me.
So we were talking about this concept last podcast, and just to reiterate something to people who are both listening live right now, but also anyone who watches this on YouTube later or listens to it at a later date and wants to help us out with topics, things to talk about. We had talked about perhaps a semi-recurring topic called Build of the Week, where we run through either a gear item or a specific build that we like, and if any guests that come on have something they'd like to talk through, they could. And it's just a good way to share different thinking about how to play the game. And what we'll try to do is not think of just standard stuff like a Gilgamesh with high ward, or a Nyx that you just put your highest attack weapon on. Let's try and think of stuff that people might not have necessarily thought to play. And that's sort of what we're aiming for here. So I think that there's a short video that we should have prepared here. I think, Shabbash, if you need the link again, let me know. So let's try and do our... That scene change is brilliant. So this build right here is a Dragon Knight Beastmaster build that utilizes the pet Orthrus. You can see the gear there. It's got a Yeti overcoat, tower shield, great antlers, Ashen Boots are event gear, but you could probably use whatever in there. It uses a Crystallis weapon. So the Crystallis is a really interesting weapon that prevents the reduction of attack, magic, defense, and resistance. It prevents double downs from defense and resistance, which is really important for this particular build because we're going to be using a skill called Mimic's Mischief, or you could use a skill called Bear's Might or Jin's Talent. Bear's Might in this particular case with the pet we're using.
Yeah.
And that's going to allow you to effectively use that skill because by default, those skills, Bear's Might, definitely will reduce your attack and resistance by the double downs, and Mimic's Mischief has a chance to. The other thing that's important with that is we have an accessory on there called Anku's Ring. So Anku's Ring actually prevents you getting curse. So the curse is curse prevention is important because what Mimic's Mischief specifically has a chance to do is curse you. Which is a dot that will be on you for the entire instance. So if you're doing a raid or you're doing a gauntlet, then it'll be there. So this build's basically reliant on your pet doing the damage. So if people don't know much about Orthrus, it's a pet with 6 skills. 5 of them come under their category of, I guess, spells.
Yeah, spells should be, yeah.
Yeah, and the way that pets work is that the percentage chance that you see for spells is per spell, if I'm right. Is that right, Shabbash?
Correct.
So it's actually higher than what you would think if they've got multiple spells, which is pretty cool. So what this build does, and you can see in the video they're playing in the background, basically the idea is that you buff up. So everything that you see on this build is using tier 7 gear or below. Every item's tier 7 except for the tower shield. The tower shield's just on there to give you a little bit extra survivability. It comes from Arena. But all of the other items you can get in tier 7. Ashen Boots aren't necessary. You could use any other item that gives you decent defense or resistance. And basically all you do is use Golem's Fortitude, which comes from the class Druid. The cool thing that's happening here is Golem's Fortitude typically reduces your attack by 25%, but because we're using Crystallis, that doesn't happen here. And then we use Barrier 2, gives us extra survivability again, and then we just use our offensive buffs, which is, in this case, Mimic's Mischief and Wyvern Speed 2. What's really cool with buffs that you apply to yourself in battle is that they affect your pet.
Yeah.
So your pet will actually have increased damage output if you increase the attack for it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, your camera's playing up a little bit, Coob. I can see you in Discord, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with the scene there. But, oh, there we go. Got him again. So yeah, this is a really, really cool build that you can actually absolutely speed through gauntlets with zero risk.
Yeah, I mean, you flew through that without any difficulty whatsoever.
Yeah, and Dragon Knight's got this really cool... we were talking about recharge earlier.
Oh, hard mode. Hard boss mode. Right, here we go.
Yeah, here's a hard mode one just to show what it can do. But there's zero risk here. Your health and your mana's not getting touched. Orthrus is killing everything. Because my defense and resistance is so high from that Yeti overcoat, the tower shield, and then any gear, they're not touching me at all. And then the pet's just absolutely decimating them. And then we've got this skill that sits in there called Guts, which is, I think it's a thief skill, like the original
tier 1
thief skill. Only costs 3 mana, and that's a massive deal for Dragon Knight and any other classes that have that recharge passive, is because anytime that you crit, you get HP and mana back. So for this one, if we happen to get in a spot, and this time round I'm using swordplay, the first time round I just let the pet do all the damage.
Right.
But Guts has a chance to either miss or crit, which actually makes it more effective than the skill Lunge, because Lunge has the chance to miss, crit, or normal hit.
Yeah.
So the chance with Guts is actually a true 50%. and it only costs 3 mana, so you're not wasting mana trying to get your mana back. So this build that you've got right here, if you're in tier 7, or say you're in tier 6, tier 5, and you're thinking, what do I aim for? Dragon Knight Beastmaster is a monstrous build, and it gets away from using Twilight Wisp, which is so unique, and you will actually catch so many people off guard in PvP with this. I couldn't do PvP in tier 7 because I used my 250 character for this, and that's an important note, is that some of these skills are doing a little bit more damage than you may at tier 7, but the build will still function pretty close to what you're seeing right here.
I mean, you're not wearing any. Are you wearing any pet action gear on this, or not?
Yeah, so I've got 1 Dragoon's Charm.
1 Dragoon Charm.
Yeah, and I actually forgot to write down what the increases to stats are for those. Do you know what the action rate and stat increases are with Dragoon's Charm?
I think it's 5% power and 2% action rate.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
And again, that action rate applies to every skill individually. So something like Orthrus with, what has he got, 5 or 6 skills? There you go, 5 skills.
Here you go. So it brings up Orthrus there, and you can probably pause it there if you like, because the video will end in a sec. But that shows you the amount of skills he's got and what the spell chance is. So 19% doesn't seem like a lot until you spread it over 5 skills, and then that means that he attacks most times. So it's a really, really interesting build that'll actually work quite well for people in that tier. You will catch so many people off guard in PvP, and you're going to find doing world stuff an absolute doddle. You're going to find that you'll smash through gauntlets with the greatest of ease. It's a unique way to play, relying on your pet, but that was my build of the week.
Orthrus is a common pet as well.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Great value.
You guys are giving my wife ideas here.
Great value.
This is actually Jess is great for builds for her, man, because she's just now hitting that mark.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
You know what? This can still work with Dragoon. If you haven't got the Orns for Dragon Knight yet, you can even Paladin. I talked to someone the other day. He was going for Dragon Knight. He'd reached tier 7, hadn't got the Orns yet for Dragon Knight. I told him to buy Orthrus and then go back to Paladin because it has the Valhallan passive. Go Beastmaster, got Orthrus, and he was still smashing dungeons with it. So love it.
That's insane.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was fun playing through it, and I've only done 2 dungeons in that clip there, but I actually played around with it a bit because I was actually enjoying it. You can go into world and you can just hit Mimic's Mischief turn 1, and then your pet kills everything. It's a really cool way to play, and it gets you geared up for the Fuximus playstyle. Sorry, I always mispronounce that word. Beowulf playstyle in tier 10.
The Fuximus class. Whenever we.
Yeah, so that was my build of the week. A little bit different. Not quite aimed at the tier 10 folk here. But yeah.
Well,
you loved it, Puz.
I loved it as well. I mean, I didn't have one recorded, but I can do a quick little something which I've been working on, which is the unbugged version of Gilgamage Sequencer.
I'm so excited.
And so with the sequencer buffs and dual wielding buffs, immediately the thought occurs of how can I make this work with Gilgamesh? And the highest, right, so for sequencer to work, I should just show the spec there. For sequencer to work, for its passive abilities to work, you have to be wearing 2 staves. So that's either staffs or archi-staffs. Otherwise, these double cast passive doesn't work, or the quick cast passive doesn't work. And also the stat boost doesn't work either. You get a 20% stat boost. I think to maybe offense, but definitely to magic anyway. So you got to make it work with staffs. So you can't wear like crow songs or anything like that with Sequencer. You can't make it work that way. So the highest leveled staffs I could find that I could wear with Gilgamesh are these Losalfur Scepters, which drop from the Losalfur Lord in tier 8. And I'd never used them before, but I think they're actually pretty decent for the tier because you have a lot of HP on them. You've got like 500 or 600 life on them, which, fits pretty well with Gilgamesh, but that's not really what we're here for. So I think the individual items, they get to around 800 magic, which not a lot. But then we're gonna bump up the magic with the Arisen rings, so that's what I'm doing there. And we are rocking just under 3,500 magic here on this PvP build. So I thought I would just go into the arena, see if we can take some names, see if we can find anyone on here. And what I'm going to be using is the Summon Dead 2 and Ultima. Basically, you want to try and make use of the quick cast as much as you can, which saves a turn on multi-turn skills. And there we go, 35k on a Summon Dead. And
far out.
The glaring issue with this is like lack of dexterity. I don't know why you can't. This might just be the most ridiculous. There you go, 56k in the background. Turn 2, that's not too bad. I just feel like with Spike Shield with Gilgamesh, I miss less than I do with Magic. I mean, I might be talking absolute rubbish, but that's what it feels like.
What's really interesting with this as well, you can use Transference because it has such high ward recovery and it keeps your passive higher.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a one-turn skill.
Got pretty good penetration too.
Yeah, great penetration. Struggling a little bit on this deity.
Oh, he's got DC up as well.
He's got DC up there, so we got taken down by a fresh tier 10. This is a fresh tier 10 as well, Bahamut. So yeah, I mean the lack of high magic on occasion gets you down, but I mean you can still. I mean you're still hitting there for like 50k turn 2 there. $40k crit. I mean, the problem is with the lack of ward as well. So these items don't give a lot of wards, compared to like the tier 10 staffs, the tier 10 weapons, which you can actually get ward on them.
And there's no random generated versions of these, is there?
Not yet.
See you, Numitop.
There should be. Well, because there's other tier 8 god boss weapons which are tier 10, like Rackle's Blade. Is there? Is it the Rackle's Blade or is it the Vampiric Blade, that one? Because I don't really know.
Well, there's Heimdall's Shield is tier 8, isn't it?
Poo man.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is Atgear tier 8? Heimdall and
right.
Heimdall's tier 8, isn't it? So has Atgear got a tier 10?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It does, yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
Well, here's Poo Man. Let's see if we can take him down. I think he's just gone to work, but he was in the chat earlier. This guy's the reason that Spike Shield got nerfed for everybody else, and there we go.
Brilliant.
72k, there you go, turn 2, right?
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
So, I don't know how...
like the run-ender.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how far I can take this further without there being like tier 10 versions of those weapons, but...
So I did a check yesterday out of as a little tip about your Gilgamesh that you're making, and I had a check. I have a 197 and a 198 of those scepters just sitting there doing nothing. So I'm pretty keen to give it a try.
Get it up there.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems fun. You would catch so many people off guard because they'd use Gunner against you.
Well, or they would expect you to use Gunner, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
People might expect, they might not even look at your ward. They might just see the ward there, like, they see it's a Gilgamesh. You know, they're expecting, I don't know, 60, 70, 80,000 ward. So they might not even look twice at the number. They just start buffing up or go through their normal routine to what they're doing. I'm not sure I'll use this in certain wars, but yeah, maybe.
Oh, that's awesome. That stuff that catches people off guard is really fun. That's a cool build, man. I like that.
We'll take submissions for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's got an idea, like what they come up with, don't know. Yeah. I mean, the idea was if there was some kind of event item that came out that we could build around that if we managed to get during that month. But with Naganin this month, it was mainly kind of lower tier, Smelly Shoes. I mean, Smelly Shoes is not necessarily build defining; it's just a nice addition, right? So.
Yeah, man.
And what does Smelly Shoes do again? Because I haven't even touched it.
It gives you blight and poison immunity, the shoes. And
tight. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And the hat also gives toxic immunity. But the shoes are really nice because they work really well in that slot. You know, in the helm slot you've got a lot of other options. But for the shoes it's actually really nice, especially for Swash, of course, but for other builds as well, it's not too bad because it still gets.
You guys are gonna laugh at me.
Why?
But I use a white sheet in PvP.
A white sheet. Old school.
Is that because of the sleep, or is it the sleep immunity?
Dude, nobody has sleep immunity. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I go through arena, there's so many people who don't have sleep resist.
There's a lot of cool accessories to use, so people don't necessarily rock an Anku ring all the time.
Well, that's why I use it, because I have that, and I usually use that, a ring of Anwin, and then a toxic, or not toxic. What is that? The briny pendant.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Fair enough.
Yeah, sleep immunity is slept on.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's interesting. I feel like sleep was such a big deal for a long time that everyone... Yeah. Oh, that transition just gets me. That's fantastic. It was such a big deal for such a long time that everyone was rocking Waking Pendant.
100%.
For ages. And then everyone's just like, oh, well, I'll stop using sleep. There's no point anymore because all I'm doing is wasting a turn. And that's what you don't want to be doing in PvP, is wasting an entire turn.
Yeah.
So then everyone just sort of stopped using sleep and started to move to other ways of immobilizing, whether it be stun or
miasma was big as well.
Freeze or miasma. Yeah, miasma, huge deal for PvP early. Well, is that a tier 9 skill actually?
I think it might be.
Yeah, so yeah, there was other ways that you'd go about it, and then sleep sort of went away, and now I think people don't have sleep protection on all the time, and it can ruin you.
The meta changes.
Yeah, you're right, Gaby. Cool. That was our builds of the week. I thought they were good ones. They were successful ones. Shabbash, I like them.
I think those are the best we've had so far.
Yeah, so far. I reckon they've made the top two builds.
Tough spot to get.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it might be the best out of two.
So,
which one did you prefer, Coop?
Honestly, dude, I really like I like the Dragon Knight build. I really dude, that PvP build was insane. But I also really like that you guys included the lower tiers within builds, because I remember, like, whenever I was headed up the ladder, so to speak, it's just it's important to include them. That way they can think, give them something to do, so they don't have to continuously think like, oh man, I might as well just do whatever the hell I want until tier 10. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, no, including the tier 7, like the tier 7 build is just that's choice, dude. Like, absolutely, that's a power play.
I mean,
jeez,
I reckon having a lower tier and a higher tier 1 at least, that's a great setup, man. I love the lower tier 1 as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. The reality is that a lot of people who would say tune into something like this are your more serious players anyway. So you're always got to cater for the sweaty audience, the ones that want to.
What do you mean? Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, and that was a comment that I think Shabbash made on the first one, and Shabbash does a lot of work to try and help out the new guys coming into the community trying to learn the game. So a little bit of inspiration there, but yeah, we'll try and divvy up the content a little bit to be not so focused on tier 10. Yep. But yeah, success. Well done. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's.
All right. Now we've got a section here that's basically the top recent suggestions. There's no time frame on this. This is just basically what the idea is going to be, is if there's some suggestions that have happened that have garnered a lot of attention through upvotes that in future podcasts we haven't spoken about before, but in this particular instance, ones that have come up over the last week or so that have garnered a lot of interest, then we can, read them out and see what people think. And it's a good opportunity for the chat to interact a little bit. And it gives an extra platform to suggestions, because sometimes I think, and what we're talking about with suggestions, I should say, if there's anyone who's tuning in here who's typically a Redditor rather than a Discord user, I'm talking specifically about the Orna official Discord or main Discord. There's a channel in there called Suggestions where people can place suggestions using a prompt in the debate channel, and the suggestions that we're going to go through today are ones that have shown up in that suggestions channel. Nice. So this just gives a little bit of an extra platform to that for us to talk about some of the more well-received suggestions, I guess. So lads, if you do want to read along, there's a link in there for you guys to read, but
take us through it, Dan.
For us, we've got at the start, I actually kicked it off with 3 suggestions that are tied together that are all based around fishing.
Fishing.
And so the T5 specialization called Angler, I reckon this is so cool. A seasoned seaman who is well versed in the art of fishing. They gather less experience from combat, but may catch more fish or rarer items. Passive, you gather less experience from combat, but may find more fish or items. So that got 43 upvotes at the point of capturing this, and it had no downvotes. It had one there that's a Fafnir bot, so 42 upvotes, I should say. And it's a T5 specialization. So, Coob, what are your thoughts on this?
I really like that. I'm a fisherman. As you can see, my sprite's still fishing. I fished 3 times though, but for those 3 times that I fished, dude,
you got the sprite and you never touched it again.
That was like an all-day thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I did it.
But the thing is I really wish that there were more fishing tournaments. So that's I'm one of those guys. I wish that there was a fishing tournament. Probably dude, that Cthulhu sprite's so sick. What do you mean? I really want that.
Absolutely.
But the angler spec would be kind of cool. Because we have a merchant spec. Exactly. And that sort of covers the ground. You might find better stuff through that. Even though I've never once touched it or seen a reason for it. But if there was an angler spec on the other hand, the angler spec would actually be. It would be pretty cool, and it would tie into the thing that I was just saying in chat a minute ago, because I think it was PK that said that all the rivers near him don't register, which is weird because they're. But anyway, I said there should be an item that drops a pool of water temporarily. And we have world raids, so why wouldn't we have something that allows for, because there's a lot of people who are landlocked, bro, like for real landlocked.
Yeah.
There's just no water around them whatsoever, and it would have to take an hour-long drive just to go fishing. Besides people like us, who's going to do that?
Have like a consumable fountain or something like this that lasts for 1 hour or something.
Yeah,
like the
or
rest
a day, or maybe you could get those decor charms to use and make a permanent pool.
Yeah, a permanent fountain or a well or a pool of koi carp fish. Pool.
Well, yeah, this is probably a little bit off that actual spec suggestion, but
a little bit.
On the roadmap there's a mention of towns, and I wonder whether there's going to be any sort of incorporation for some of those harder to reach GPS mechanics in towns. Something we could maybe flesh out at some point, but yeah, good point, Coob. What do you think about the spec, Shab?
I mean, why not? We've got specs in there. Like tier 5 seems to be a kind of a nice utility area for specs. You've got the seeker spec, which just gives you some more view distance. Merchant spec, as you mentioned, Coop. I love it. I mean, how many people have fished since that tournament, which he started, which I, again, agree with you, Coop. I was expecting at the time there was going to be fishing tournaments a bit more often, but maybe it's going to be once a year or something like that. But yeah, why not make it tiny bit more regular? But I mean, why not? It doesn't impact gameplay significantly in any way. If you want to, there are certain items which are in the fishing drop table, which like you can't get very easily. Immediate thing that comes to mind is dusk gear, which is used to drop from the Queen de Calfer boss, which was an event boss, but then didn't come back last year, and I think its items were kind of like just included in the bazaar.
I just fought one yesterday.
Sorry, say again.
Sorry, I just fought one yesterday.
Oh, really? So I think they might be still spawning somehow, in like a very rare way.
I think if they did spawn, they stay, right? They stay until they're properly killed off, and they've got the same respawn mechanics as they always did. So that 80-20.
So they could still
split
spawn there. But whether they're actually respawning like in a different place at the moment, I'm not too sure. But people can still farm these items up in one way. People ask how to get. Another one is steady pendants, right? Steady pendants give you stun immunity, only drop in the arena. But after a certain tier, they don't drop in the arena anymore. So if you got rid of one, like I did, and you're sitting there in the end game and you need a way to get stun immunity, and you're like, where's my steady pendant? Don't have one. So fishing's a way to get that. So yeah, another way. I love it.
I loved to hear, and I only actually saw that I think yesterday, that you can get steady pendants from fishing, because I am in that situation where I don't have one, and Pooh Man loves to wind me up about it because I cleared out all of my accessories to get Carl off my back,
chucked them out,
and chucked out the steady pendants. So yeah, it's a big deal. I think that it is nearly the perfect spot to chuck Ring of Day, because it kind of, at the moment, hasn't had a place in event raids as much. It used to be every 3 to 4 months there would be a new raid that had Ring of Day dropping in it.
Yeah,
originally.
Last year was like that,
Yeah. But then we had the Mimic, and if anyone missed the Mimic, say you took that month off, there's potentially a year that you went without Ring of Day or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I like the spec though. It just makes sense. Why not?
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Good spec.
Yeah, good suggestion. Really good suggestion. Really well received. So we'll see what happens. So the next suggestion was, and I won't go through all of these, by the way, we can stop at any point on these ones, but a new building, this is 3 suggestions all in the fishing vein, a new building called the Bait Shop, which can naturally appear next to bodies of water, similar to the Bazaar, sells higher quality fishing lines and potentially other fishing supplies. So there's a mention here about different scales, and this actually ties into the next one. So I'll actually leave the scales part of it. But the bait shop also keeps records of the last big catch caught nearby. So if it's going to be that they pop up near a body of water, perhaps that means that whatever was the largest fish caught and whatever nearby is, don't know, it'll actually record your name there with your largest catch. So pretty well received suggestion. 41 upvotes, 0 downvotes at the point of capturing that. Shabbash.
Baited. I mean, how they'll probably need to make nearby quite a large area for people to check it out. Maybe it could link to the regional.
I was thinking the same.
Section actually. Who's the biggest? He's caught the biggest fish in the region. Why not? Another regional leaderboard to climb. Yeah. I mean, once you play the game a lot, especially in the higher tiers, and you kill lots of mimics, you get a lot of lines and stuff fairly easily. But I think early on in the mid game, you can buy the normal, like the basic fishing lines from shops, but they are awful to use. They are so bad. When you get used to using higher tier fishing lines, you can go for minutes without catching, getting the ripples, without basically catching either a fish or a mob event. And mimics are they're fairly rare mobs as well in the early game as well. So I like this. I don't know what they're going to cost.
Well, you wouldn't guess cheap.
Gold.
You'd think that it'd have to be expensive, but I like the idea. I think it's a really cool idea. I think at the moment fishing in general is in a bit of an odd spot where it's just, and I talk about my friends that I took for a drive, they asked me what's the thing that you're actually aiming for with fishing? Is there like an end goal here? And I'm like, it's probably just at this point in time more of an extra piece of fun that you can have that's different to the game. So you're still playing the game, but it's something different to do in the game. Much like fishing implementations in heaps of games. It's not the best way to get anything. It's just an additional thing that you can do. But adding to that to make it into something that is more interesting for different reasons I like it. Coop?
I really like the bait shop. That sort of kind of harkens back to what was it? What was that place? Donkey Kong Country 3, Brash's Hut. He owns a cabin that's a bait shop in DKC3. But it shows it shows you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it shows the best record there, and that would be kind of cool. I'd like to see the best record for the highest catch around, and maybe there'd be an opportunity for that really sweet Cthulhu sprite. Dude, I'm not gonna let go of that thing. That thing's sick because as of right now, the only thing that you can do is just get your fishing sprite and go home, and maybe some Chirul facts. Like that, that's the only thing that I didn't hear you guys mention already. I didn't know that you could get Ring of Day through there because I managed to pop a Ring of Day, I think, when the event came out ages ago. But yeah, no, it's that does sound like that sounds like probably the coolest building that I've heard of since then. I really do like the measuring mechanics, so to speak. That's excuse me. I really do like the fish measuring mechanic because that seems to be all that Orna is about, is just a big measuring contest at the end of the day. No, I really do dig. I dig the concept. It's cool. And anything that spawns like a bazaar, I'm about it, man. It's always an endorphin rush to get a hold of. That. It's always like a real endorphin rush. You're like, oh shit, I found a coliseum, or a bazaar, or something like that. I really do like that.
Yeah, something rare you don't see, all the time. Absolutely. You still with us, Dangy?
Yeah, I was going to say, we lose you, bud? Oh, I see what he's doing.
I'm just stuffing around with cables. I just saw a comment about a bad clicking sound. Is that coming from my end?
Yeah, I think it was. It's all right.
It's a bad ground.
Now I've lost you all. Okay. Keep going, guys.
All right, so... No, I think it was coming from Dangy, but it's only been going on for the last hour or so. So the next...
It happens. Like I said, background.
Yeah. The next section on this suggestion, which seems to tie in with the rest of the angling stuff, are new adornments attainable from fishing, which mention the Baylor scales, crimson scales, ember burning, and azure scales. So these are kind of linked to the types of fish that you can catch. So I don't know if you remember what kind of fish you can get, but I just remember the Baylor muskies. Those are the big ones. So these.
Yep.
So here he's mentioning Baylor scales, which could increase your ward, and then crimson scales, which could increase your attack. And again, kind of goes back into what Dangy was saying about fishing kind of being in a weird place. There's not much point to it apart from getting your sprite and maybe some other random items. But maybe getting a small chance for getting some adornments while actually catching fish. I actually quite like it.
I'm a ward chaser, so if you say ward, I'm about it.
You're on it. Yeah, sign up.
I think I'm back audio-wise. Is the clicking coming from me? Is that what?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no idea what that is. I'll swap microphone.
Got the best mic and he can't even use it.
Yeah, I got this duty little, you can't see it from here, but actually, I can just show it to you. I'm using this little thingy.
All right.
It's actually okay for what it is.
Nice.
So I reckon that's actually potentially to do not necessarily with the microphone, but to do with the bandwidth allocation on the channel and my internet.
Right. Okay.
All over the place. So I'm not sure if that clicking's still there with this microphone.
This is much better.
Okay. Technology worked flawlessly right up until we tried to do a podcast. And I didn't realise that it was there. Sorry, guys. Hopefully that wasn't irritating everyone the whole time.
I think it only started coming... it only started appearing when you came back the first time.
Oh, so 2 hours. 2.5 hours ago. Fantastic. Apologies about that, guys. I had no idea.
You can't move in this game. Puzzle. So, Dangy, what was your closing thoughts on that last fishing suggestion about the adornments? I guess you've had
the adornments.
Yeah,
that was the part that I was probably more excited about than the other two. That makes it actually exciting to do, right, is if you've got some adornments to chase. And I don't know whether those are the perfect ones. I think the adornment space is one that is generally accepted as a good area for potential additions. There can be a lot of things that you could add to that space. And I think that fishing, if you added adornments in there, I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, right now you just get fish and they just sit, do nothing. You can't cook them or use them or eat them or regain health from them. So I think...
Or sold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you could sell them. I mean, I guess now they might actually be worth selling now. But I reckon if... I don't think the adornments would have to be... it wouldn't be a guaranteed drop every time, right? Probably.
No idea. We'd have to ask Al what his suggestion was, but I'd imagine if it was in fishing, nothing's a guaranteed drop.
Yeah.
You just have to fish until you get one. And then getting the ornates would be really hard. But yeah, I like the suggestion. I am now bugged by that audio thing. Hopefully it's distracting.
No, now you sound great, mate.
Yeah, using this thing instead of the proper microphone, of course.
A little bit like a Modern Warfare 2 lobby, but it's okay. It brings back memories, dude.
Yeah. All good. So yeah, I liked those suggestions because I think, when I was going through them, I bunched them together. They were bunched together and put out there together anyway. But right. I bunched them together because what that's an aim to do by looking at it is to improve an element of the game that is pretty basic at this point in time. And that's one of the things that Odie has done really well over the course of Orna in general, is that he's actually added to the more basic elements to make them more interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's overall. I think we've seen some suggestions that have been like make fishing cooler, but it's not specific enough to give you enough to work with. These are 3 suggestions that give you ways to think about how to explore making fishing cooler. And as often happens, if we make a bit of noise about some of this stuff and Odie has to think about it, he might come up with something even cooler that is along this same line. So I really liked them.
I think what you'll find is that a lot of the times whenever people are thinking about a change, Odie's been thinking about, like what you were saying, he might have, sit there and have a think about it. A lot of the times he's had these ideas like just in mothballs, just sitting, and, he's like, no, people wouldn't like it. It's garbage, cooking, but turns out that I don't know, man. I'm not saying dude's like a genius or anything, but dude's more creative than I could ever be. Like, I'd be like, mate, give him Ward 2. Ward 2, get the sequel to Ward. A 4th bar. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you're right. And you see the roadmap. I would wager that that's probably about maybe a quarter of the things that he's actually thinking about doing.
Yeah, for sure.
The roadmap is more the stuff that he might have actually fleshed out as, this is how I can do it. So I actually know how I can code this, and it'll take me this amount of time so it can make it into the game, because I don't think he'd put something on the roadmap that he's not sure how he can accomplish yet. So I think that there'd be a lot that he's thinking about. So you're right, Coob, because a lot of the time we might think that we're coming up with these really cool ideas, and then later we see them implemented in the game, and it's like, oh wow, he took my idea, but he probably came up with it at a later date. But I think a lot of these suggestions do influence decision making, as long as they're well thought out and not drowned out by a billion other little suggestions that don't do anything for us. It's I like the fishing ones for sure. We have a heap of them here. Should I just go through maybe a couple more, because we're probably what sort of time frame? I'm actually thinking that I might need to jump off in not too long to give my wife a chance to go to work. Because I jumped on early and she's looking after my son for me while I do this. So I might just go through a few.
Yeah, we can go.
What was that, Shab?
I was just going to say go through a couple quickly, and then we can save some for the next time. And then we'll do April Fools.
Yeah, sounds great. So the next one that I had there was a Kingdom Economics log for leaders to keep track of where the Orns go. To see if you're making net gain or loss with your raid bosses. And there was actually another one that I've got further down, which was a King Shuffle log. So both of those received no downvotes. The first one was a 40-1, or 40-0, I should say. Yeah. And the second one was 28-0. Essentially, at the moment, we have our logs there that just show when somebody has spawned a raid. What I'm imagining they mean there is that it also shows the associated cost for that raid. And then when it says war has won, it'd just say the associated Orns that were won, or a gauntlet was won, the associated gauntlets that were won, Orns that were won, sorry. And for me, I think that makes a lot of sense. I personally, in our server, which I think you guys are both part of now, you'll see the amount of crazy stuff I've got going on there, and you can't even see half of it. But we actually are really meticulous with our tracking, and we will track every raid that is spawned, and we will track daily what the Orns looks like, what our Florins looks like.
Yeah.
And we've got pings for all these different things, not over pinging, but just mainly for people who have to manage stuff. So anything that makes that process a little bit more autonomous and a little bit easier is really good. And it actually will help kingdoms overall understand why you don't just raid 4,000 times a day without doing gauntlets or without winning wars. Like, that's why you have to take your wars a little bit more seriously. If you want to raid Apollyon 20 times, that's fine, but you also need to try and win your war matchups, or you need to win, try and get your gauntlets done at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
You gotta earn that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, we're in a similar position. We have to use a third party tool to track. You know, you can't really track in game. You got to mark it down somewhere else. So. I don't know how you get on in Bladelords, Coop. If you do you do any raid tracking, Orn spend, Orn income?
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't for a little while, but we do a ton of gauntlet tracking. We do obviously war tracking, I take screenshots of both offense and defense, because I know that look, defense matters to me almost more than offense. But like with raids, yeah, definitely. I actually have a bunch of screenshots of them, but they're not even in the Discord. I do it. I'm about to just lay an Excel document down and just show, look, this is where we're at. And this is exactly how much money we're spending, and we're actually pretty much we're actually doing all right in terms of economy. We got for where we are in the leaderboard, we got like 2 million in the bank, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Way better than we.
The Orns stuff is interesting because like your total balance doesn't matter as much as your in versus out. You just need to know that you can sustain whatever it is that you're doing. And then obviously have some stuff saved up for if there's some sort of event like a Serta or an Arisen Morrigan where you need to spend millions of Orns. But yeah, that tracking, which a lot of us do manually, I think it'd be great if it was in game somehow. But also that's another way to engage in the community in your Discord, so it doesn't matter too much, but I can see it as a positive.
Yep. Speaking of spending certain extra Orns on event raid, shall we move on to April Fool's raid?
Yeah, I think so. And we can hold over some of these suggestions for next time.
Yeah. So
take us away.
Last year, I don't know what it was like the previous year, 2019. I hadn't played the game yet, but 2020 we had an April Fool's Day raid. It was Carl the Fool, and I think Odie kind of teased it beforehand. But was there like I saw a screenshot of like Carl being a playable class, and then he turned up on April the 1st as a raid. So well, the drop pool was lots of random stuff, lots of previous event gear. I think probably Rings of Day, Rings of Night, pinions. No, not pinions, but kind of event adornments, that kind of thing. So I think the expectation here is that there will be something similar, a 1-day raid to go along with the monthly event raid, which last year was Ceres, and I think the year before was Ceres as well. So I'm expecting Ceres for the monthly raid. But Coob, any predictions for the April Fool's raid? Any thoughts? What do you reckon it's going to be?
Damn it, dude! If we don't get an eggs raid, I'm gonna flip. There needs to be an eggs raid.
Eggs.
Yeah, eggs raid. Like, yeah, that's oof. Yeah, no, that's the. Oh man, I'm kind of hoping, honestly. Like, I missed the Carl. Like, I didn't miss it, but I missed the raid. Like, I never got my Band of False Gods. So. Well,
so yeah, that's the Mightiest Mimic. So that one, hopefully, that ring or whatever.
Oh, is that where it's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might. Yep. It came out after it might be in this one. It might be this time. It might be in this one.
That was going to be my prediction, actually, is that at least Carl's ring makes it to the full. So when we say Carl's ring, there's two, and one of them's a tier 10 variant that has ridiculous stats. It would make
that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Weep. It is amazing. So I would hope that the Carl's ring makes it to this raid. And you actually said something earlier, Coob, that I thought you'd say straight away here again, because you mentioned something about the Mightiest Mimic pet. It'd be really interesting if there were pets introduced for a single day. Chances of getting them would be ridiculous. But I wonder
dude, I've got like 40. Like, I would change my origin town no matter where I was at. I got like 40 bestiaries that are just lined up waiting to like,
so there's this cool concept that happens in some games where you've got event locked stuff, where it's month on month, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where you have a single day where you can get all of that stuff again. And that's kind of what this is, right? You've got a heap of gear that you can get. But what if you could have a chance of buying any of the previous event pets one day a year? Missed out on Fake Chimera, which isn't a big deal, but you missed out.
I still don't have Fake Chimera, bro.
You missed out on Kirby, or you missed out on the Mightiest Mimic. What if you had a chance at them on April 1st every year?
I like it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to be there.
I really
checking.
Yeah. Like mighty screenshots. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, man. And of course, actually, if you guys, let's see if we got just a couple seconds. Oh, yo, Weekoklia's here. That's what's up. He did make it. Sorry, hollering at my boy real quick. But we were actually looking at last night. We were talking about, like the limited raids and stuff. And we were talking, like they said last year it was going to be, that's where we got the eggs raid from. Because I put in the suggestions. It's actually in there. I was like, dog, like Odie, what do you mean egg pet for Easter?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? We've never even had that. But there are some other ones too that were actually good. I can't seem to find them right this second. But looks like Eladin said that it's going to be Carl's and the Mimics most likely. Like I would really hope that. I kind of hope that we do get like a bunny. A bunny would be cool. Like, or even a bunny that throws eggs. Yeah, it's very on brand for Coop. It's kind of thing. But
yeah, go ahead.
No. By all means.
I was going to say, I think that Odie has actually confirmed that Ceres was back, hadn't he? He had said that Ceres will be the April
with
raid.
Some warrior kind of focus for the gear, right?
Yeah, because that's where the conversation come up. Is he was talking about how they're themed raids typically, and the Ceres is more warrior focused.
Yeah,
which I'm okay with because Ceres has some cool stuff.
Yeah,
doesn't he have an awesome belt? Actually, I think I missed out on his belt.
Pretty tanky belt with fire resistance on it as well. HP on it.
So yeah, pretty okay
good
with Ceres coming back.
Actually.
Yeah. But I like that bunny, the Easter bunny.
The egg, fake egg.
You'd have to make it a pale dragon sprite though, wouldn't he? If it was going to be an Easter bunny, it'd have to be a pale dragon sprite.
Perfect. What do you mean? It's literally already the bunny.
It's already, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
The assets are there. I mean, if you're listening, please give us eggs for me.
Well, I reckon.
Too.
I reckon. Fake cactus.
Fake cactus. That is good.
Oh, are you talking about like because then you'll end up with a pet that has, I don't know, some sort of equivalent to Arrowstorm, but a higher.
Arrowstorm 3.
that'd
Shoots
be
like
good.
10.
That'd be awesome. I like that. Cactus is a cool pet. There's a few fanboys of Cactus out there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like cactus. Good morning to you too, Adolf. I guess it's morning for them. It's probably morning for you too.
Pooh Man.
It's nearly 11 a.m. for me, and I think Pooh Man's in the morning is similar sort of time zone for me. So it should be morning, yeah. I will have to wrap up, actually, guys.
Yep.
You guys
it's been a pleasure streaming with you guys, hanging out.
Been absolutely brilliant. Really appreciate it. Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start and the ongoing audio issues that I didn't realize were there. So I feel horrible about that, but hopefully it wasn't too distracting for everyone and they were able to still have an all right listening experience. But yeah, really appreciate it, guys. And I will be signing out. But
Dan, Dangy, before you leave, what was your prediction?
Yeah.
Carl.
Oh, the thing, it was a Carl's ring. I think that we're going to have the full, I would imagine, like we can't not.
Right. Okay.
I'd like us to get the Carl's ring there, but I'd also like us to have an opportunity to have every event pet
Right. Okay.
Show up on a single day. I think that'd be really cool. That'd be neat.
All right. Cheers, Dangy.
Really appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of the stream.
Yeah.
And cheers for everyone for tuning in.
Well, Coop, I think that's the end of the topic list, Coop. I'm not sure if you've got any final thoughts. Going to have to refresh this. We can see half of your head now. Don't know if you've got any final closing thoughts, Coop. Any recruitment for your kingdom?
Always, we're the Bladelords of Plsia, and spelled Plsia, just like my name. And, we're a laid-back kingdom. We always chill, and we really don't try too hard. I mean, we definitely do play the game kind of heavy, but, we're not super sweaty or anything. I wish we were sometimes, but yeah, it's whatever. We much more value being friendly to everybody and helping everybody in the community with their builds and stuff than we do getting to them. It's just more about the homies than anything else. But yeah, dude. Other than that, it's definitely a shout out to you guys. Shout out to Odie. Thanks to Odie for making a great game.
Absolutely.
And, I got an interview if you guys haven't read it. It's I guess I'll probably post a link. I'll probably post a link at the end of this one. But I don't have the link immediately. I think it's.
I'll also post a link to your interview on the YouTube when this goes up. This will go up on YouTube. I'll post a link on that.
That'll work just fine, man. All right. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'll probably see you around soon. And you got, I might be doing an interview with one of you guys one day.
Well, make sure, Coop, absolutely brilliant to have you on as our first guest on the Arisen podcast.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
I mean, I'm going to be there. Well, if anybody's not there already, every morning, roughly Eastern time. Pick up the Hood mornings on the main Discord. We'll catch you there.
Absolutely. Have a Hood evening.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Bye.